2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Perfect. What's going on, C3 Panthers Podcast? It's your boy, Handicap Jon Snow. Cody Lashney, coming here back for another edition of the Friday Free-For-All. You already know this is your show, your opportunity to come on the C3 Podcast and tell us what you think about these Panthers, man. What do you think about this Atlanta game? What do you think about all this Deshaun Watson nonsense? Are our coaches worth a damn? That's the whole point of this show, is for you to come and tell me. The link to join the Streamyard is in the description of the YouTube and the Facebook. I'll be posting it periodically in the chat room as well. And ladies and gentlemen, ain't nothing to it but to do it. I am joined by my Friday Free-For-All faithful. They've been here for every single one of them, it feels like. Nick Montiero. Nick, what's up, bro?
What's going on, man? It is Friday night, the last Friday that I will be up here in Massachusetts, at least for a couple weeks, because I am getting ready to go down and see the Panthers. Hopefully not lose to the Patriots, because that would be a disappointing 850-mile trip. But first, we got to chop it up with all the fans, Cody.
Yes, we do, man. Yes, we do. This is the Friday Free-For-All, your opportunity to come and talk Panthers. Once again, Kevin Boshoven. Kevin, what's up, brother?
Not much. Just chilling on a Friday night with you, Jon Snow.
Yeah, man. And you can be my Hodor. You can hold the door for this.
That wasn't for Jon Snow. That was for the other one. The one everyone.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah, but he was
in a wheelchair.
He was crippled, so it still matches up. And then my man Drew up there in Maine. Drew, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, Cody? Nothing much, man. Ready for a good, I want to say good Friday night free-for-all, but these Panthers aren't giving us much to go on.
Boy, you can say that again, man. The season has started similar to how it normally does. We get some hope and some dreams and some aspiration to start the season, just to have the drain pulled out and watch us spiral downward into oblivion of NFL hell. Anyway, we're going to talk about all of that tonight, but we're also going to do it with my man Brad. Brad, what's going on, brother?
Oh, just enjoying the Game of Thrones spoilers, guys. Thanks.
Oh, shit, dude. Hey, man, welcome to 2009.
Spoilers, it ends horribly.
Yeah.
I know, right? That's actually the only season I haven't watched so far, and I'm told that I'm not missing much, so.
No, don't do it. Just don't do it to yourself.
I'm one of those nerdy ass book readers that got pissed off that they fucking ruined it. So yeah, I'm one of those kinds of nerds. But listen, man, this is a Panthers podcast. If you haven't done so already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell for every single time the Carolina Panthers and this C3 podcast go live, man. So without further ado, I want to open up this discussion to something interesting I found earlier this week. Joel Klatt went on Colin Cowherd's show and dropped an interesting tidbit of information. We don't know if this is true or not, but I will play it and I will let you all react.
Do you feel like the ceiling has been hit at Penn State? I've been told that Matt Rhule is not all the way in on the NFL moving forward and that he could potentially come back down to any number of these jobs.
So let's segue.
So Joel Klatt is reporting that Matt Rhule is not tied to the NFL and could potentially go back to the college football coaching world. Real quick, let me add in Kenneth right here. Kenneth, Panther Pickle, what's up, bro?
Hey, I'm good. What's up?
Dude, happy you could join us. Listen, let's open up this discussion, man. And I'm just going to throw this out to whoever wants to jump in on it first. Is Matt Rhule indeed down for the long haul for the Carolina Panthers? And do you even want him to be the long-term coach of the Carolina Panthers? Boys, have at it, man.
I think it's smoke. I think it's all smoke. I think the guy's just talking out of his ass. There's nothing that really shows it.
Yeah.
You know, and if he's stupid enough to talk about something that he was told in confidence, then that's a reporter that's not going to last long. Sorry.
I mean,
you lose your sources, you lose everything.
Yeah.
And Rhule just said at his press conference today he has no interest in leaving for the college. He just said, I've got one of the best jobs in the world. I have no interest.
Yeah. And if Matt Rhule really felt this way, he wouldn't tell somebody who's going to leak it to a reporter. That would not be how to do that. If he may would, now granted, he may would tell his wife this, and kind of, but Matt Rhule's been in this business long enough to know if he's not really happy, he knows who to talk to about it. Tepper ain't 3 states over hiding in a corner somewhere, you know?
All right. So. But, and I'll pose this to Brad. Brad, we do know everything that comes out of Matt Rhule's mouth only goes on to end up being false. So the fact that Matt Rhule came out at his press conference today to try and shut down those rumors, well, let's just say that in and of itself doesn't have a very good track record, does it?
Well, let's just ask the question, right? I mean, is he going to want to be with the Panthers if they go 3-14? Because, look at the schedule. I mean, if you look at the schedule, there's winnable games on there, but I don't trust this team to get any of those games. I just don't. I mean, if you look at every other opponent we have left for the remainder of the season, we're at a sizable disadvantage at the quarterback position. And that's not something you can easily overcome. I mean, so the question of it might be a case where he maybe leaked something in confidence to somebody that he's a little nervous. I mean, because, I don't know if any of you guys were in the town hall, the Panthers Twitter town hall last Sunday, but Sheena Quick said, that seat might be getting hotter than you think. A lot hotter than you think.
And that leads us to a good point here, man. Like, we on the Tuesday night show, when we picked this game, one of the things I said is that I don't feel comfortable picking the Panthers to win until this offense puts up a performance that's worthy of me believing in them. I mean, seeing how this offensive line has been playing, we were supposed to handedly beat the Philadelphia Eagles. We were supposed to handedly beat the New York Giants, and we weren't able to do that. We were not able to get it done. And now Matt Rhule is once again saying that they're not 100% sure of the lineup going into this matchup for the offensive line. And once again, it's like it doesn't inspire much confidence that they even know where they want to play what guys on the offensive line. It's really a bad way right now. It kind of feels even worse than this time last year. We were 3-4 last year, but this year, and I think, Nick, you were saying this before the show, this year we had real hope. Like this year we thought this team was going to be a legitimate contender, man. And for us to just backslide like this.
I don't necessarily know if we thought that we were going to be, a legitimate contender. We didn't really start thinking that until closer to week 1 of the season. Yeah, we knew that our defense was going to be top notch, but we thought that our offense was going to be hindered due to Sam Darnold. And I mean, clearly it is,
Yeah. We were kind of fooled into a lot of over the confidence the first 3 games of the season. That's where everybody said, "Oh, we're going to be great. We're going to be super. We're going to make the playoffs." And
the worst teams in the NFL.
The Saints win is what really did it for people. That was the one that really, I think, got people to buy into the fool's gold.
And a lot of people, including myself, were when an analyst or somebody says, "Well, they had these coaches out." That don't really mean nothing. We still beat the Saints. They're still good. Okay, you know what? To be honest, I could now question if the Saints had all their guys healthy and they had all their coach active, would we have beat the Saints?
I think we would have. I think the deciding factor in how this season has gone is the fact that we've been without our number 1 pick. You got to realize it's essentially like we didn't even take – it's essentially like we passed up on our number 1 pick this year. We had him for 3 games. Yep. We were lights out. And then all of a sudden he goes down, and that's it. Game over for the defense, and that's the strongest thing, the one thing that kept us together.
And a lot of those changes or those trades that we made, like C.J. Henderson, I'm sorry, he has not played well. I mean, he's been getting burned every single game. So a lot of the win now moves that we've made over the season, as far as trades are concerned, that are going to cause some major heartburn next year during the draft, have not panned out, right? I mean, and it kind of goes down to, back to Matt Rhule, why do college coaches fail in the NFL? They typically fail because they go from their number 1 priority being recruiting to now they actually have to coach, right? I mean, to really, really coach and develop people. They can't just rely on writing a blank check and recruiting 4-star talent. And that causes some issues. I mean, and you look at the personnel decisions that they've made over the past 2 years with Rhule really at the helm. I mean, we can say Marty Herney was responsible for the Derek Brown pick over taking Derek Brown over Isaiah Simmons all we want, but how much gravitas? I mean, clearly Rhule has some weight in all those decisions, right? So
sure.
I mean, you have to kind of, look at our draft this year, right? I mean, J.C. Horn, complete stud, but he broke his foot in the 3rd game. Our 2nd-round pick, Terrace Marshall, has not really contributed. Our 3rd-round picks, Tommy Tremble has contributed at times, but, you can definitely tell he's a developmental prospect, and Brady Christensen hasn't really seen any live play. Outside of 1 game.
I believe that last year I believe that Marty was in 90% control of the first pick. I believe if it was all up to Matt Rhule, he would have traded back and then end up still taking Henderson. But if if a certain quarterback would have been there, we would have took him. But he wasn't, so Marty took what he considers the best available option. I would have actually no disrespect to Derek Brown, but Isaiah Simmons would have been a better pick at linebacker than, but
we can do the thing that we're all going to inevitably continue to do, which is saying we should have picked this player over that player or what have you. And listen, it's all legitimate points. We're doing that this year with Justin Fields and Rashawn Slater. But I think there's no denying that Matt Rhule and his footprint have been all over both of the drafts, from the kinds of players that we've been signing to the Baylor and Temple nepotism. His fingerprints are all over the roster, and that's undeniable. So I think really we have to put a little bit of the quarterback conundrum and the offensive line conundrum squarely into the lap of Matt Rhule as well, since he's the only person that we know has been consistently involved in making choices on Panthers personnel. So, yeah, it's only right to criticism or right to give him criticism for all of these things. And it feels like building a legitimate competitive NFL roster isn't something that he's mastered yet, but in the slightest.
Well, one thing that I want to remind everybody, Kay, last year when Teddy Bridgewater and PJ Walker came in, okay, this was situations outside of their control. COVID happened. No training season, no nothing. Okay. Last year they were getting used to the NFL. It does take some time to get used to. I would have liked to have been a little bit better last year, but at the same time, I also would have liked to have lost the Washington game. So it goes hand in hand. Start off with this year. We go through our preseason, then we go to the Colts. Now, some people had issues with Matt Rhule sitting back and letting the head coach from the Colts take charge. Well, you got to remember what I just said, too. No preseason the year before, didn't know necessarily what he was doing. Okay, so we got to give him at least a little bit of slack for last year. You know, I'd really like to call last year only a half a year just because there was no preseason. On top of that, look at how much our defense progressed between last year and this year. You know, it definitely made a huge step forward, especially in those first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And if J.C. Horn hadn't gone down, which is outside of everyone's control, and I don't regret the pick in the slightest, you know, if he hadn't gone down, we would still be feeling pretty confident about our team. It would have turned around the Vikings game. It would have turned around the Eagles game. And it most likely would have made a huge difference in the Giants game. You know, so while the seat might be hot for Matt Rhule, if we move on from him any sooner than at least half to 3/4 of the way through next season, I think it's a mistake. And I think a lot of the mistakes that have actually been happening, while Matt Rhule does play a part in it, I think a lot of it comes from Dave Tepper.
Yeah, I mean,
Nick, I will agree with you a little bit as far as giving Matt Rhule a little bit of a break because of last year being kind of different. But the thing I'm not going to give those coaches a break on is they had all last year, all of preseason, all offseason to figure out how to get that offense to keep running without Christian McCaffrey. That was the reason they drafted Chuba Hubbard. And that offense still cannot run without McCaffrey on the field.
Yes.
And that's a coaching issue.
You know, well, I was having a conversation.
Look at Stefanski. Stefanski was out. His starting wide receiver, one of his starting wide receivers, his starting quarterback, and both his starting running backs. And he was still able to put an offense out on the field that was able to win a football game.
Yeah.
You know, the other part of it, too, that is kind of, I think, lost on people is look what happens in the games, right? Typically, we're coming out really strong in the first half and then just falling flat in the third quarter. Why is that? That's because other teams could actually see our game plan and adjust to it. What do our coaches do? They don't adjust.
Nope.
They don't change their game plan. And that's, again, that speaks back to this. I mean, I understand, you know, you're going from college to the NFL and it's a learning curve. But I guess what I would want to see from Matt Rhule and his staff is actually learning. Like the clock management issues that they have where they're constantly burning timeouts through the first and third quarter. Those have been with them since Temple and Baylor. I mean, Billy Marshall tweeted about it, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I've got it pinned on my Twitter profile, right? You have fans from Temple and Baylor both saying Matt Rhule's clock management is atrocious. And these are things that have been followed him since college and aren't really getting any better. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think he's going anywhere this season, regardless of how they finish. I think that depending on how they finish is going to dictate how much of a leash he has next season. You know, if they finish 3-14, I could see if they don't come out of the gate guns blazing, I could see him being gone by about mid-season. Whereas if they salvage it and they go, you know, 7-8 wins, which I mean I think is really pushing it this season. I think he probably gets a full third year.
Let me ask the question.
You can't get fired after that, Peter.
Do any of you have faith in Matt Rhule going forward this season? Does he, as the coach, have the capability to take everything that's happening now and actually fix it? Is Matt Rhule ever going to be the reason why the Panthers win a few games this year?
No.
I don't think it's
No.
I don't think we win a game.
Wow, that's a pretty resounding no, man.
I mean,
Look at our schedule. I don't see us winning the game.
There's not. I mean, there are winnable games on our schedule, but I mean, it's not. We're at a sizable disadvantage when it comes to the quarterback position, and that's not something that you can overcome.
No.
I mean,
what needs to be fixed can't be fixed this season.
Yeah.
So do most of you think that with another offseason and with another draft, that Matt Rhule potentially could finally do that third year thing that he does and finally take his team, and he never won a championship for all of this talk about what he did at Temple and Baylor. But the third year historically has been Matt Rhule's best year as a coach whenever he's at a new program. So, is Matt Rhule a lost cause in general? Or do you think that, just give him one more year, we'll, try and tackle this quarterback thing in the offseason, fix the O-line, and then let's roll the dice on one more year with Matt?
So, I mean, my 2 cents.
For another season. And honestly, guys, I know everybody's talking about giving Matt Rhule a woman. I don't think David Tepper is going to pull the plug on him. He was in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
He was in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh they do not get rid of coaches.
Yeah.
They just don't. If you go back and look at Chuck Noll's record when he started in Pittsburgh, he wasn't that great in the beginning.
Yeah.
But he turned it around, and there you go. They started winning.
It took 5 years for Chuck Noll to get going too. Just
when they hired Matt Rhule, Joe Person asked, kind of in a forceful way, to get Tepper to answer the question: what happens if he don't turn around? How long are you going to give him? And Joe said 3 years. Tepper's responded, yeah, 3 years is a good number, but I have to see progress. I have to see progress. Rhule Tepper said that twice or 2 or 3 times. He has to see progress, but our progress and Tepper's progress may be different.
Exactly. He is very impatient.
Yeah,
he is very impatient.
I give it one more year till he trade everything.
But something else you got to consider and I haven't looked it up. When Matt Rhule was at Baylor and Temple, did he have a different starting quarterback each year?
I don't know, but I do hear your point though, and I think that we're also putting some of that blame also on to Matt Rhule. I think that we can put it on to Dave Tepper and Matt Rhule.
Right.
I think David Tepper was the one who decided to move on from Cam Newton, which, by the way, for the quarterback play that we've had the past 2 years, we might as well have kept Cam Newton. Right. And yes, we're gonna talk about Cam right after this because we have to. It's that time. We have to finally have this conversation. But then Matt Rhule also, it was him and Phil Snow that thought that somehow Sam Darnold could turn into their very own version of Matthew Stafford, which to me, for most of his time in Detroit, Matthew Stafford, he's put up some good numbers, but he's been very underwhelming, I think, when it matters most.
They don't even play the same.
Yeah, and again, I just question the comparisons that they make. I question their talent evaluation at the quarterback position. And I think if we're going to hold the quarterback changing against our coaching staff, then they also have to take some of the blame for depending on the wrong quarterbacks.
And the wrong.
Well, see, and that's what I'm kind of. Yeah, I mean, Joe Brady shares his fair share of blame, but the reality of the matter is, I mean, when it comes to 90% of the issues on offense are attributed to the fact that our quarterback sits on his first read and never gets off of it. He doesn't process the field. He doesn't, receivers are getting open. They are getting open and making separation. He's just not able to sit back there and wait for the play to develop, and he's not seeing them once the play has developed, right? I mean, the quarterback position
was wide open in the end zone.
Right.
The quarterback position is the thing that's killing this team right now. And, it really comes down to, my biggest gripe with Matt Rhule or Scott Fitterer or Joe Brady or David Tepper is, what's the plan? Can anybody tell me what the plan is? Because right now there doesn't seem to be one, right? And and I think that's the biggest issue that most of Panthers Twitter has with them is, they during the Athletic podcast this week, they said, it seems like they're just chasing the next shiny thing, right? And that's not a good way to build your franchise.
They have ADD.
Yeah, I mean,
so
the
how
question
many
is,
of you honestly believe that Sam Darnold will be our starting quarterback next season?
No, not at all.
No,
Well,
I said
here's the
high
thing.
draft pick to get him.
That's the thing, man. Are we really going to have 2 off seasons with quarterbacks that we owe money to because they were cut?
So, very good point. I wanted to bring your attention to this.
I'm doing it.
I wanted to bring your attention to this, not because I want to shift the conversation to Deshaun Watson, but I think that this is very indicative and telling about David Tepper and who the Carolina Panthers are and where we are right now. Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk responding to Ian Rappaport on the whole Watson Panthers thing after the team basically comes out and says, no, we haven't been interested in Deshaun since around training camp, but then we haven't made any more discussions since then. Mike Florio says, well, I don't doubt the technical accuracy of the notion that Watson has only waived his no-trade clause for the Dolphins. It's still possible that he'll waive it for the Panthers if the deal with the Dolphins doesn't fully materialize. Moreover, the Panthers are indeed pursuing Watson. They want him to waive the no-trade clause for Carolina. They want to acquire his services from the Texans. But for that reasons, for reasons that will likely become apparent if and when a deal is done, they are second in line behind the Dolphins. And this is my point. David Tepper and the Carolina Panthers are trying to say, oh, no, we're not interested in Deshaun. We're not interested in Deshaun. But only after the rumor came out that Deshaun wasn't willing to lift his no-trade clause to come to Carolina. So not only has Matthew Stafford potentially said, nah, dude, I ain't going there, but now Deshaun is doing it as well. And now David Tepper is like the friend zone kid that has to turn around and be denied publicly for the same time, for the same reason 2 times in a row. And in my mind, that's just very telling of, kind of what you just said. This organization is trying to, chase the next shiny new toy, whatever that might be, the quarterback or whatever.
We're thirsty.
We're thirsty, man. I mean, it feels
you
like
guys see that Brian Flores said that barring injury, Tua is their starting quarterback the rest of the way.
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, who believes that, though?
The decisions for the Dolphins.
Do you believe that, though? Because with all the rumors connected,
honestly,
to Deshaun,
Brian Flores hasn't, unlike Matt Rhule, Brian Flores hasn't lied yet.
The reality of the matter is,
it's just whether they lied to you or they lied to their players.
And honestly, the trade deadline's in 4 days. I mean, I don't think he gets moved before the trade deadline. I think this carries over into next offseason.
Yeah,
I really do. I mean,
the only way this thing gets done Tuesday is if Sam Darnold just goes out there Sunday and shits the bed completely.
I wouldn't even say that.
If he shits the bed completely, I think Tepper says screw it.
But the problem there too is, there's a no trade clause, and there is reporting that Deshaun does not want to come to Carolina. So that's problem number 1. And the problem number 2 is, what are you actually going to be able to give up to get him, right? Because they want 3 first-round picks and some number of day 2 picks or players. We have no day 2 picks, so now you're talking players.
Yeah.
And who's on that menu, right? Are we talking? Are they going to want Brian Burns? Are they going to want? Are they going to want J.C. Horn? Are they going to want Jeremy Chin? Right? I mean, a deal to get the unfortunate truth is that any deal that gets Deshaun Watson is going to cripple this franchise as far as the draft and the other side of the ball is concerned for years. So I mean, if you
at
really
least
want
in the
Deshaun,
first round, for sure.
But you see that, we see that, but does Tepper care?
Yeah, but
And
here's the thing, man.
that's the
The
problem.
one thing Tepper has always said,
Yeah.
to win in this league, you have to have a top echelon quarterback. And he has always been saying he wants a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, but at what cost? I mean, it's
We're better off
I
with-
do see your point, Drew, and you're definitely right on that. It's just
Right.
you got to think everybody loves Fitterer for all the trades that he did, but what do we have for picks next year?
Oh, I
We have a first,
I totally
we have a
agree with you
fourth.
guys. I'm just
And-
going on the fact that Tepper has said from day one, to compete in this league, you have to have a franchise quarterback. And he has been hell bent on finding a franchise quarterback.
Which,
I
I mean,
don't
to be fair-
disagree with that. It's just I don't think Deshaun Watson's the guy. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter if he would want to trade with us or not. It just isn't going to work out in the long run for him. So he can go ahead and pound the table all he wants, but somebody needs to tell him no.
I've been saying this too.
So
I
then-
don't even if that isn't the right thing to do, and say it's the wrong thing to do. Why would we trust David Tepper to not just do it anyway? As previously mentioned, he's willing to stop at anything to get a franchise quarterback. And if it doesn't look like there's going to be a guy in this year's draft, I mean, I still think Willis has a lot of potential. I think even Matt Corral looks like he's showing some flashes, but neither of those two guys are the surefire bets that some of these quarterbacks have been coming out in the draft the past couple of years. So if you're not going to trade for one, and maybe there is a quarterback in the draft, but also maybe not, then David Tepper, is going to give whatever is necessary to trade for either Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, or Deshaun Watson. And
I think he got a better chance of getting Rodgers than he does Wilson or Watson.
They're not. I mean, but it goes back to the Tom Brady issue a couple years ago, right, when he was a free agent. He's going to get his pick of where he wants to go. Aaron Rodgers there's nothing about this roster that says Aaron Rodgers is going to want to come here.
No.
Right? The same thing with
Right.
Russell Wilson already said these are the teams. Unfortunately, the Saints are on the teams of the list of teams that Russell Wilson's willing to go to, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if that trade happens next season.
Or Aaron Rodgers.
Right. I mean, they want to go to perennial contenders. They don't want to go to a team that, quite frankly, is very middling.
True facts.
Well, we got to remember the Tampa Bay was, as you said, middling until they got Tom Brady.
No,
They're
they
not
weren't.
really-
They
Yeah,
were
but
a quarterback.
they threw
They're not
everything at that. They threw the
bottom
kitchen
feeder.
sink at that one.
They knew they were going to get Brady way back when.
And
that's
you
what
know,
the Patriots wanted.
Hey, real quick, hold that thought before we go forward. Grim Reaper, my man with the $20. Thank you, brother. Spotting your 20 C3. Dude, we appreciate you, brother. We never ask for money. It's always appreciated. Thank you once again, man. Drew, as you were saying, man.
but I mean, honestly, Tampa Bay, if memory serves me right, they hadn't made the playoffs in like 10 years before Tom Brady signed with them. So
Yeah.
But they had a
the
rock solid
epitome of
defense.
middling team.
But they had a rock solid defense. They had a ton of skill position players, and they had a decent offensive line. The only thing that they were really missing was the right tackle, and they went out and drafted Tristan Wirfs.
And
Huh.
you don't think that Scott Fitterer will play funny money to get an offensive line in? If Rodgers says, if you get me an offensive line, I'll come.
Who are you
Yeah,
going
but what are we going to give up to get him?
But that's the thing.
And-
We don't know what Green Bay is asking for. Nobody knows what Green Bay would ask for Aaron Rodgers.
They're asking
it's
for
starting-
something stupid. I guarantee you that much.
If
You
the
have
They
Starbucks
push
with
to
Deshaun
him back
Watson-
every
Yeah,
single
you have-
year,
You
and he's
have
a
to
top
imagine-
10 quarterback.
He won the MVP last year. They just beat the Arizona Cardinals last night. They're one of the better
But you're
teams
also
in the
talking about a
NFC.
37-year-old quarterback, not a
But-
20-something-year-old quarterback.
But
Yeah,
still,
but maybe
we're
it's a
talking about Hall
2-year.
of
Maybe
Famer.
it's a 2-year deal though. The same that they did with Tom Brady. Maybe it's not
No.
some, Oh, well, again, so we also have to keep in context. Tom Brady got to pick the team that he was going for because he was on the last year of his deal
Right.
with the Patriots. If we're talking about Russell Wilson, if we're talking about Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun, you're going to have to trade for these players. And in that case, they have less say-so over their future than Tom Brady did. So
And
again,
also, let's think about
But
this,
they also
guys.
have no
What
trade
teams
clauses.
need a quarterback at this point?
say it one
That's
more
the
time.
thing-
They need
that's
a
the things you
quarterback.
need to think about. What teams
happy
out there
with-
right now are in need of a quarterback at this point?
Denver and
Broncos.
Denver was already rumored to be
And-
in the running
Well,
for Aaron
and-
Rodgers before the season started.
And Aaron Rodgers-
Potentially New Orleans too.
Well, and Aaron Rodgers is a San Francisco native. You don't mean to tell me that he wouldn't
New
love
York.
to go play for that team? I mean,
True.
Giants.
Well, San Francisco just drafted Trey Lance.
Trey Lance.
but are you going to take? But honestly, if you know you have a 2 or 3 year window with Aaron Rodgers, I mean, are you going to still run Trey Lance out there, or are you going to try to trade him off to try and recoup some draft picks to make that deal?
Well,
I
you
mean-
can't. You're not going to trade him. Where are you going to trade him? You're not trading him to Green Bay because they got Jordan Love.
Right, but that
Jordan
but
Love's
then
Jordan
that begs the question: how much do they actually believe in Jordan Love? Right? I mean,
Well,
I don't know.
they're doing the same thing with Jordan Love that they did with Aaron Rodgers when he was behind Brett Favre.
They can
There's
trade
a
him
lot
to
of questions
Chicago
in
since
Cleveland
he's
about
part
Baker
of
Mayfield.
Chicago.
There's a
well,
lot
and
of
Aaron Rodgers already owns Chicago, so why don't they trade him there? Right?
Yeah. And Chicago was already off the list for Russell Wilson, so I think New Orleans would be in play for Russell Wilson.
Real
but
quick,
means-
guys.
Okay, go ahead.
Real quick. There's 57 people watching.
Oh.
17 thumbs up. I know you guys like to be shamed. It's okay. Nothing wrong with being kinky.
Nothing
But guys,
wrong.
it's the Friday free for all. You can hop on here and have a good time. All right. Hit that
That's
thumbs
right.
up button. Hit that subscribe button. You know what to do.
But
That, hey, 100%, man. If you like the content, hit the thumbs up. That helps the YouTube algorithm. Let people know that, hey, man, people dig the C3 podcast. Maybe we should share that shit around for more people, man. So go ahead and do that while you have a second. Go ahead. I think it was Kenneth. You were going to say something.
You also you got to think. I found out this week through several analysts saying that during the draft, Tepper pushed and wanted Justin Fields, but he kind of backed off because Rhule insisted he wanted to keep Darnold, and Fitter kind of backed him up. And I said, okay, there's going to come a point because Tepper was turned down by the Bengals to get Burrow. They talked him out of trying to trade up to get Tua. There's going to come a point when Tepper's going to stop being nice. There's going to come a point where Tepper's going to say, Rhule, no, I'm drafting who I want because I'm the owner. If you don't like it, there's a door. That's going to come to a head.
Well, and we had the ideal
If it
situation.
hadn't already done so already.
Exactly.
Well, we had the ideal situation. Justin Fields has not looked terribly great in Chicago, but that's also because they might have a legitimately worse offensive line than us. And the reality is he probably wasn't ready to just be run out there. We had the ideal situation where we could have kept Teddy Bridgewater as much as it would have sucked, right? Send him back out there, let Justin Fields have time to develop, and then continued to put pieces around him and still had our second round pick.
Yeah.
I mean, right. That it kind of goes back to the whole question of does Rhule know how to build an NFL franchise? And I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding, right?
And listen, I'm going to add on to that too. It's not just Rhule. We have to worry that our owner isn't the NFC South version of Jerry Jones. I mean, every single time that the Panthers have released an in-depth look at their draft process or whatever, David Tepper's always right there. He is always a part of the meetings and the discussions that determine the future of the Carolina Panthers. This man quit working with Appaloosa management, with hedge funds, to be more directly involved with the Carolina Panthers. This is more than just a passion project for David Tepper. This is his obsession now. So that's what I'm saying. If the Panthers get into a bidding war with some other football team for Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun or whoever, David Tepper has no problems giving up whatever it takes to win a bidding war. He's used to doing that kind of shit. So I think that's something that we need to bear in mind going forward. I wanted to play this clip that was in order with what we've been talking about. I have a feeling everyone's going to disagree with it, but just to get the reactions and see everyone's takes and opinions, I wanted to hear what you had to say about Phil Simms' idea of who we should trade for.
Oh yeah.
Oh, God.
This was on Inside the NFL.
Yeah.
Now for the Carolina Panthers. First, I want to say Sam Darnold, of course, without saying, he's got to play better. But here's what they need: wide receivers. They have DJ in a league that's loaded with receivers, running back, and everything.
I mean,
McCaffrey's out, but DJ Moore has almost 50 catches, 40-some. And the next guy is Robbie Anderson in the teens. So that's a big gap.
True.
And where do we go from there? So my first order of business is I'm going to trade for Odell Beckham Jr. and get him on my team, and that's going to help us right away. That's one thing.
Wow.
The other thing is, I don't know if I'm really happy with Sam Darnold, how he's playing. Deshaun Watson's up for trade. Carolina's in it. We got to get him. Maybe for not this year, but next year we're going to turn this around. And the biggest thing is the corners. They traded for Stephon Gilmore. They got C.J. Henderson, our first-round pick that the Jaguars got a couple years ago. They're there. They got to come through. You do all that, we can change our football team.
So Phil Simms, he wants us to trade literally every pick that the Panthers will ever have to get Deshaun Watson and Odell Beckham Jr.
Phil Simms is playing too much Madden.
So
dude,
too much Madden, and he's smoking the same shit that our coaches are, and not doing anything with the O-line. I get it. There's nobody available. But all those moves that he just listed off are win-now moves. As much as I love the Stephon Gilmore trade, especially from being up here in New England and being able to rub it in everybody's face up here, that was a win-now move. And I'm for it if you want to keep him long-term, but that means that you shouldn't re-sign Dante Jackson because they're both on a contract here. You can only keep one. And on top of it, adding him to the mix, now it takes away from somebody else too.
Well, if you're doing that, Nick, then as you said, Nick, if you're doing that and you're going to re-sign Stephon Gilmore, then Dante Jackson's last game in Carolina is this Sunday.
I think that might be a very real possibility anyway, right? Because it really depends on how that game goes. Like, if Atlanta just goes,
and if you trade Dante Jackson, it's only for an offensive lineman.
Well, I mean, or picks, second, third, or fourth.
Right,
I mean,
you're right.
Because we have nothing. I mean, there was a report came out today that they're shopping AJ Bouye too, which, I mean, go for it, right? I mean, we need to recoup some of those picks because the reality of the matter, I keep saying that. What's probably going to happen?
I do the same shit, dude. When you do a live podcast, you're going to do it, man. It's fine.
But what's probably going to happen is I think we're probably going to end up, we're going to probably end up with a top 10 pick. I mean, that's a real possibility. I mean, so we're probably trading out of the top 10 to recoup some of the Sam Darnold trade picks, get a second rounder and or a third rounder or some combination of those three, right? But I mean, as long as we don't trade too far out of it, I mean, as long as we stay in the mid-teens, there's still a shot that we could get Malik Willis or Corral, right? I mean, those are developmental prospects that we could bring in and have them sit behind Sam Darnold because he's not going anywhere. I mean, as much as it pains me to say this, he counts $18 million against salary cap next year. I mean, we're still going to be paying, I think it was like $3 or $4 million to Teddy Bridgewater as well. So we're already out $23 million in salary cap next year on the quarterback position. So you just sometimes you just got to trade back, get your guy, and then let him actually develop.
I think we're going to
trade back into the teams, and you take an offensive lineman, something they haven't taken in the first round in forever.
No, I think that's a valid pick too. But at some point, I mean, I keep liking us to the 2015 Philadelphia Eagles. They traded up to go get Carson Wentz, right? I mean, and that panned out for him for a couple years. I mean, at least for he was an MVP. He was the front runner for MVP in 2017, I think, before he blew out his
leg up in Seattle. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just got to suck it up and go get your guy, even if it's not the most ideal situation.
But there is no guy in this year's draft. That's the issue.
There's decent. I mean, they're not can't miss prospects, but I mean, they're still developmental. I mean,
no, at that point, you don't trade up for that. You don't give up assets to get somebody that's
no. That's what I'm saying. If we trade back, there's a high probability that one of those quarterbacks will still be there.
Yeah. You're
Hey, real quick, just on the off chance that it does happen, I want my man to be able to be on record so that way he can say that he called it first. My man, Panthers Buzz FSU23 says the Panthers are not out on Deshaun. Sources closer to Tepper said the deal will come sometime between Sunday and Tuesday, and CMC will be a part of the deal, and that's why.
He always wants CMC to be part of it.
Yeah, and that CMC is a part of the deal, and that he's been ready to play, and that we haven't been playing him, essentially preserving him for.
I bull crap, but
hey, I'm
not.
You know what? I'm just making sure.
That's no fair conspiracy.
I'm just making sure that if for whatever reason, if it happens. Yeah, my boy's gonna be able to get
Cody, if it does actually happen, you gotta let us come on.
Yeah. Dude, listen, I promise you. Listen, if we ever traded for Deshaun, I promise you I would do everything in my power to be live within an hour and reacting to the news.
I want to go on record and call it now. We trade for Deshaun, we're having at least 2 more losing seasons. If you include the season that we're in. No, it's going to happen. It's going to cost way too much, and it's going to put us way too far in the hole, and we aren't going to be able to do anything with the offensive line. And, hey, guess what? We're back to square one.
And at the end of that 2 years, Deshaun Watson will request his release.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Hey, let me ask you this. Let me pose this question to you. You know, we're talking about the trade deadline. People are saying Bouye might be on the trade line. Let me ask you this. What Panther player in your mind is untradeable? I'm talking you would be upset. You would be upset no matter what, no matter who it was for, no matter for what package of picks or player. What players, if any, are on the team right now that you do not want to lose at any cost? By the way, this is for everyone in the chat room too. Type in the chat who are the players that we're not trading no matter what.
JC Horn.
JC Horn, okay.
Yep.
I think we can all pretty much agree on that. We deserve to see what that man is going to be able to do. Okay, who else?
Basically anyone on the defensive line.
Burns and Chin.
I'm sorry, guys. Burns. Burns hasn't shown me enough yet. Everything was built up this preseason about Burns was going to be the next Von Miller. You know, he's figured out how to get to the quarterback, and he's whiffed more than he's gotten sacks.
Can we get a first for him?
I would say I would rather keep if I had to choose between the two, I'd rather keep Hassan Reddick than Brian Burns if you really came down to the picking between the two.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, and the reality of the matter is, like, all of Burns' sacks have come when he's unblocked. I mean,
exactly.
He's too easy to stop.
Hassan Reddick won't be here next year.
I'm just saying.
On to say he won't be here next year.
And you're probably right, Kevin. But what I'm saying, if you told me I had to pick between one of those two, I would pick Hassan Reddick because Hassan Reddick
hands down
that he can get
that might be the cheaper move too, because then listen, you could probably get away paying Hassan 2 or 3 year deals, not having to give him these big time contracts. Whereas you got to think Brian Burns is still wanting to get paid that big time money, and maybe it would be cheaper if you're going to lose one to stick with Hassan over Brian Burns. I don't know. It's a good conversation to have, to think about and mull over.
But the only reason why we think that
Hassan Reddick is a Matt Rhule guy,
and that's the only reason why we think that he's going to be cheaper than Brian Burns would be. That's the only reason.
It all depends on what we get back.
Hassan Reddick is who he is because he lines up at linebacker. Burns is lined up on defensive end. Hassan Reddick is lined up as a linebacker most of the time. If you reverse those two, who's to say that Burns may not have more than Reddick?
Because
Burns faces more offensive tackles than Reddick does.
Well, and coming out of college, right? I mean, Burns was lined up as an outside linebacker. I mean, he was brought in when we were talking about transitioning from a 4-3 to a 3-4 defense. So he was brought in to be that speed off the edge that isn't necessarily lined up in the defensive end position.
Right. So
I mean,
who's to say the next head coach or the next defensive coordinator, or next year they may decide to revert to a full-time 4-3 and Riddick's out of a job. Because
but I mean, the point is kind of the same both ways, right? Is that Brian Burns, and listen, they did put Brian Burns' hand in the dirt sometime at FSU, but the main criticism against him was in run blocking. He just never set a physical edge because he's not this big, powerful guy at the edge position. So if we're gonna move forward with a 4-3, then neither of those guys have really shown themselves to be that dominant hand in the dirt kind of edge. So listen, it's a good talking point to consider when you're thinking that this team might continue to rebuild its identity on both offense and defense.
Also we have.
When was the last time Brian Burns had a sack?
Last game.
Yeah, literally last week.
Okay, so I missed that game. I was
we also have to consider.
But was he blocked?
Has one more year left on his.
He was not blocked.
True. That's very true too. We don't have to pay Brian.
Yeah, and if you go get Deshaun Watson, you're going to pay him $40 million plus on however long he wants it. But if you're going to get him,
would you be okay with a trade that involved Brian Burns, Christian McCaffrey, and Shaq Thompson?
Yep.
For what?
For Deshaun Watson?
Hell no. Fuck
yep.
No.
Well, I mean,
if I can get Christian McCaffrey, if I can get his salary off the books, do I hate getting rid of Brian Burns? Yeah. Shaq Thompson's coming off of an injury. This is the first season since Shaq was drafted he's actually playing halfway decent. If I can get all three of those off my books, done. And I don't have to give up three first-round picks.
You got to remember,
Shaq Thompson is going to cost you $18 million in dead cap money.
So
what is this thing always proven? The cap can be finagled.
Yeah, that's true.
How many first rounders are we trading away in that?
Before the season started, the New Orleans Saints were $100 million over the salary cap, and they were still able to sign players.
Yeah, there's definitely a certain level of voodoo magic that certain GMs know how to use, that they're able to get around stuff like that, man. So there's definitely some truth to that. Go ahead.
Look at the Rams. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Go back and relook at this. If you're giving up all them players, right? And I wouldn't be against that. Let's understand that. But how would his defense look without Shaq Thompson? You're taking him away. You're going to take
It's looked bad, no doubt.
We've seen it the last 3 weeks. We haven't had Shaq Thompson.
Okay, but you won't have at least 3 first-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
So you won't improve anything next year. You're already going to pay Deshaun Watson $40 million. If you think you're going to keep Riddick, he's going to want at least $25 million. At least.
Well,
and Watson's going to be out another year after being suspended.
Exactly. So, I mean, you are literally telling the Houston Texans, do this trade with me, and next year you'll have the first pick in the NFL draft.
Mm-hmm.
Probably,
maybe the year after that, too.
There's a real possibility, and as far as the cap implications are concerned, the reality is, look at the Rams. The Rams build their entire team through free agency. They don't draft players, like hardly at all. They do not. They just finagle the cap and ad nauseum, right?
Yeah.
So the cap isn't something that would. I mean, if your GM is smart, and we have an entire position dedicated to cap management, right? If your GM and your cap management are smart, you can sign whatever free agents you want and just keep kicking the bill down the road. I mean,
listen, if the Panthers are going to have some money to spend, to kind of play the devil's advocate to Kenneth's point, I think that's what we're saying, right? Like, again, this whole Watson thing, we also have to talk about the off the field stuff, which is certainly more important than anything else.
Yeah,
I'm just talking from a football perspective, right? If the Panthers were to get Deshaun, and for whatever reason, if no one thinks that he's gonna see any missed time playing football, that he's gonna be able to come in and play or whatever. And by the way, forget even this season. Like, let's say it's at the end of this season that they end up doing this, which, by the way, there's a real possibility that this whole Deshaun Watson Carolina Panthers thing isn't a story that goes away until potentially before the draft next year. So with that said, I think the mindset is that if you have one of those free agent quarterbacks that players are going to want to go and play for, that what Brad is saying would then end up being true. If you have someone that can navigate the salary cap well, you can move some dollars around here and there, use some of your money to sign free agents, bring offensive linemen here, bring other people around, and build around the players that you do have. You would still have DJ Moore if you decided to pay him some money. You would potentially still have Robbie Anderson if we don't trade him. You would also have Terrace Marshall in his second year, Shi Smith in his second year. You can kind of start to see how maybe there might be some method to that madness.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to you have to have a GM that's capable of navigating the cap, right? And you have to be able to attract a big name free agent like an Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson or someone along those lines who players are going to want to go play with, right?
True.
I mean, and see, the counter to that point, the problem I see with the Panthers is they don't have enough foundational pieces on offense to really. We have the 31st ranked pass blocking line in the NFL. I mean, that's going to turn a lot of big name quarterbacks off from wanting to come here. I mean, that's just the reality. That's why I kind of go back to my original statement. I think the right course of action to solve the quarterback problem, unfortunately, is trade back in next year's draft and get one in the middle of the first round and develop them. But then, you're kind of back on that issue of, do we trust Matt Rhule to develop talent?
No.
Well, do we trust him to recognize talent and then develop it?
And
right?
Brad, I think you're absolutely correct. I think that would be the smart way to go. But again, we're talking about David Tepper, who's impatient, and he's yet to have a winning season in Carolina.
Yeah.
I say we
That's
don't
very true, man.
Keep with Sam for a little bit and build the offensive line and then trade up eventually. I
agree.
But again, you said eventually. Tepper's not waiting for eventually.
Oh,
that man is impatient as hell.
And David Tepper has put himself in this situation too.
Mm-hmm.
For the way that he has mismanaged everything up until this point, he takes the blame for this. He was too late to fire Rivera. He was too late to fire Hurney. He fired Matt Rhule before he ended up hiring his general manager. So, he was making decisions on roster before the general manager was. Then he chose Matt Rhule over other coaches that had a ton of NFL experience already, proven success at the NFL level, Super Bowl rings, if we're talking specifically about Bieniemy. So, again, man, it's like David Tepper, he can throw a temper tantrum if he wants, and I have no doubt that he's going to, because I agree with Drew. Like, David Tepper is going to do whatever he can to get a franchise quarterback to Carolina, and that makes it even doubly so because he's already missed 2 times in a row with Bridgewater and Sam Darnold. So I think Drew is 100% correct. The likelihood of the Panthers giving up picks to trade for either Watson or Rodgers or Wilson, I think it's damn near inevitable, if I'm being honest.
Because Cody, the one thing is he let other people talk him into going after guys that he personally didn't want. He really didn't want Teddy Bridgewater, but they talked him into it. He really didn't want Sam Darnold, but they talked him into it. As Kevin said earlier, at some point, Tepper's going to say, you know what? I'll let you guys talk me into this thing twice. We're doing it my way this time.
Yep, that's going to happen. Also, let me ask y'all something. Who was the driving force to get Joe Brady to Carolina? Y'all remember?
It was David Tepper, wasn't it?
David
Yes,
Tepper, I think.
It was.
Yeah.
Let me ask y'all this: what kind of offense did Joe Brady run at LSU?
He didn't
West
run one.
Coast.
He did run off.
I mean,
He
what
didn't,
offense
he didn't run it.
I understand he didn't. He wasn't an offensive coordinator, but
He was the passing game coordinator.
yeah, which involved a lot of heavy passing and moving the ball quick, and he was
West
given a lot of
Coast.
credit. Yeah, he was given a lot of credit for Joe Burrow's development, and
Yep.
then the Bengals turned around, and smacked Tepper in the face because they wouldn't trade that first pick away. But then Matt Rhule, while he was at Temple and Baylor, he preferred a run first offense. So how do you think Matt Rhule's David Tepper's hand-picked offensive coordinator has done in Matt Rhule's run first offense?
Yeah.
That's
That's a great point. Kenneth, you're making incredible points right now, man. David Tepper is trying to fit square pieces into round holes. He's trying to, I want this guy. And Joe Brady, he has this West Coast offense, dynamic. And I'm going to stick him with a guy that wants to run the football. And really isn't even, now we're not even really effective doing so. David Tepper's fingerprints are all over the issues that the Panthers are going through right now.
And
well, to be fair though, I mean, Joe Brady's style of offense is the way the NFL is going, right?
True.
Rule's whole philosophy of defenses win championships, and I can play really, really great defense and have a really solid running game, and that's enough to win in this league. Those days are effectively over. I mean, if you're not the Tennessee Titans and you don't have a generational player back there like Derrick Henry, and I'm not saying Christian McCaffrey isn't, right? But this team is not built to run the football. It's not.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Not with the offensive line the way it is.
No.
Certainly not.
The offensive line isn't built to pass protect.
No.
And,
I mean,
how about this? Our offensive line isn't built at all.
Period.
Our offensive line is built to fail. How about that?
Yeah.
It's built to give up as many sacks as humanly possible in a game.
It's doing what it was built to do. It's failing.
There's a lot of Brady Christensen to get a lot of heat, but let's actually look at preseason. We know what he was in college. In training camp, he lined up at right tackle, strictly right tackle. He didn't line up at any guard. He didn't line up preseason. Right. During preseason, they told him he was going to be lined up at some left guard, so he lined him up at left guard.
Right.
One time during the Steelers game, or not one time, but one little short series during the Steelers games, they put him at left tackle. Even Matt Rhule commented later it was just to get him some playing time. Okay. Then he turned around. They had him in the Saint games for a few plays at left guard. He went in at right tackle.
When they were forced into doing so, by the way.
And then when he went in at right tackle after they were forced to do it, and then all of a sudden against the Giants, they say, you're the left tackle. So,
Well, and
by the way, against Philadelphia, when they had their option of where to play him first, they put him at right tackle and put Taylor Moton at left tackle.
Exactly. So
talent. Oh my God.
Well, you're making the point that I've been saying, Kenneth, is that Brady Christensen was put in a position to fail.
Right.
His coaches are the ones that threw him under the bus by not giving him the proper time to acclimate to one position, playing at the NFL level. They have made that man's rookie season even harder than it should have been, if they even ever gave him playing time. It's just been so mismanaged, man. Hey, real quick, let me add Justin was in. He'll be right back. Let me see if this is him. Justin, you here, bro?
Yeah, what's good? What's good?
What's good, Justin? Glad you can join us, brother.
Yeah, man, happy I can be here.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, man. No, we're just talking about this whole Matt Rhule thing, man, and how one, Brady Christensen has been thrown under the bus, but just man, we're all just so not believing in what the Panthers have going forward on the offensive line and at the quarterback position. And it looks like David Tepper, in our eyes, most of us, is going to do whatever he has to do to fix that, even if it means trading picks and players away.
Yeah, man. I agree with I've been thinking about it all week and stuff. Like my biggest gripe against Rule would be because I was trying to figure out for a minute if Rule picked Brady or if it was Tepper's pick, and then like my biggest gripe with Rule has been the mismanagement of offensive offensive players. Because I feel like because of how long Snow has been a defensive coordinator, he's pretty much telling them what he's going to like. Because we got rookies on the defensive side of the ball, but Snow is like, nah, I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna put this guy out there, and I'm gonna put him in a position to where he can. I'm gonna play to his ability, the best of his abilities. Well, on the other side with Brady, Brady's new to all of this. I feel like he's pretty much being told what he's gonna do, and he's just following in line.
And I mean, if you're Matt Rhule and you got this offensive coordinator the owner wants to have, but got no experience, would you not be smart, at least a quarter smart, to try to go out and get a veteran offensive coordinator or a coach who's played that position before?
That's what I was thinking.
Caldwell or Hugh Jackson, somebody to line up as a position coach to help Brady when he needs it.
I forget who it was that said it. It's like Coach Rhule is a leader of men, so his offense and defensive coordinators need to be X's and O's guys. Like I said, Snow, I have the highest amount of faith in Snow, and then it just goes down with every other coach you can name. Like it's the offensive line, like the guys on our roster. You could switch them around, and the line probably wouldn't get much better. I'm giving Christensen this past game. I'm giving Christensen a pass because he is a rookie. Like you expect a rookie to.
Yes.
There's only a handful of rookies that are going to go out there and look dominant.
Well, and to kind of, we need to stop grading Brady Christensen like he's a seasoned vet. Let's start evaluating him like what he is. He's a third-round left tackle. Yeah. That's the reality, right? He's a third-round left tackle, and as much as I love, they talk about position versatility and how great it is. Let's really evaluate that, right? What does position versatility lead to? Jacks of all trades, masters of none. You lead to work to players who are good to okay at several different positions, but aren't really masters of any of them, aren't really great at any of them. And if anything, I feel like it stifles potential.
The thing about that is you can get away with that on the defensive side to an extent, the defensive line. You can get away with that linebacker position, safety, and cornerback position.
But get away with it in college.
Who's like, say for instance, take Lamar Jackson for example. He's as athletically gifted as that man is. How good of a quarterback would Lamar be if they were asking him to also go out and play wide receiver? Like, there's certain spots on the offensive line, the quarterback position. You want. If you got a guy that played right tackle throughout college, let him play right tackle, and when he gets to the pros. Like besides all of that, like I've been saying it for weeks. My anger when I watch the offense, my anger is aimed primarily at Brady because now it's been the Vikings. I want to say it's the Vikings, the Cowboys before them, and the Giants. All showed Brady styles of offense that could put your offense in a better position to score. The Cowboys came out in a heavy set, 2 tight ends. They threw out of that. They had success running the football, and this obviously our offensive line compared to the Cowboys O-line, it's not even a fair comparison. But then when you go and look at the Vikings, the Vikings game, they rolled Cousins out of the pocket. They moved the pocket to keep the pass rush from just being able to tee off on him. You look at the Giants game, they were using Daniel Jones is not that much more athletic than Darnold. But the first couple of plays, like QB Reed, fucking option Reed, he keeps it, gets up the field, rolled him out of the pocket. They made his job. They made Daniel Jones' job so much simpler. And I've been calling for Brady to do that with Darnold. Like he is not. The thing that Darnold struggled with doing in New York was dropping back, dissecting the defense, putting the ball where it needs it, not putting it in harm's way. I'd be damned if we don't bring him here and Brady Brady goes Gase 2.0. He's asking him to do all the same things that he struggled to do with New York. Our offensive line is just as bad as the Jets' offensive lines were those years.
No.
Well,
Our offensive line is not just as bad. Our offensive line is worse than the Jets this year, dude. And you literally can't make that up.
Yeah.
I wanted to make a point about something here. Because, listen, I'm not one of these people that's like, I also believe in position versatility to a degree. I don't believe in bouncing a player to and from different positions in the same season. Right. Now, for example, I thought that Taylor Moton, if you gave him enough time to get truly acclimated to playing left tackle and were giving him reps even in training camp consistently at left tackle, I think he would have been fine. And I think that he could have held up on that left side. Also, to further buffer that point, I think Brady Christensen could be a really good right tackle if given the time and the continued reps at that position to learn the position. Yeah, I think that he can do that too. So to that degree, I do believe in position versatility. But when you do what the Panthers are doing, like just bouncing them around willy-nilly to and from here and there, all because the free agency moves that you made put this team at a disadvantage. Like now we're taking 2 steps backward for every 1 step forward that we take, all because of this offensive line.
Well, and, to be quite honest, everybody is talking like Brady Christensen was terrible on Sunday. He wasn't terrible. I mean,
no, he wasn't.
There's plenty of bad tape out there, but you know what? Bad tape. He looked like a 3rd round rookie. I mean, that's just the reality.
Wouldn't you have rather gotten those rookie moments out of the way for Christensen earlier in this season than us having to deal with it in week 6? Exactly, man. Then he would have been better ingratiated to play in that left tackle position instead of us forcing him out there at a moment's notice against the Giants. You're putting him in a position to fail. And that's why I want to put most of the blame on our coaches for putting them in that position.
I listen to Jordan and Jake podcast every week. I would recommend listening to that. Jordan Gross, when Jake asked him what he thought about the offensive line, Jordan said, I thought Brady and Michael played really well for being the talent level they are, thrown into the fire. He said Brady Christensen just started at left tackle week 1. He said during preseason. He said to change it all now, to do it in the middle of the season is hurting him as bad as Fox almost ruined Thomas Davis's career. When Fox bounced Thomas Davis from safety to linebacker to safety to linebacker till the vets said, no, you can't do that, and he slowed him down.
Hey, real quick, joining us now, Tony Dunn. Tony Dunn, good to see you, brother. Happy you could pop into the free for all, man.
Yeah, I got a few minutes. I ran home from the Halloween carnival with my kids. I beat everybody home. I won't have long, but
that's fine. Happy you could
ran
join
up
us,
the
man.
stairs before everybody gets here. I figure I see how you guys doing.
Yeah, man, we're doing a real quick shout out to Corey Broomery. He says, I feel like Brady is forcing his system on Darnold because honestly, I believe that he does not have the experience to adjust around Darnold. He is stuck in his ways, and that is a recipe for failure. Thank you, Corey.
Does Brady have a system? See,
failure.
Everybody, like somebody was trying to tell me this earlier. It was like, oh, it's a different system. I was like, man, what have we seen really that has given us any continuity?
Well,
I don't know. Like, what do you call it? Do you just call it like spread?
Yeah,
I would say a West Coast. Oh, I mean, really, it's a West Coast style offense. It's that, it
looks a lot like the same
great receiver core, great offensive line.
And they want to take shots. They want to pass the football down the field, and that's essentially what it is too. He's a part of that Sean Payton kind of coaching tree kind of deal that they've got going on too.
Well, and
yeah, go ahead.
Not to defend Brady, because like I said, I think that his tenure here has kind of been an abstract failure at this point as well. But he is scheming people open. They're open. It's the fact of the matter is Darnold is so focused on that first read. I mean, his processing just isn't there. His footwork just isn't there. I mean, as much as we want to force the point fingers at Joe Brady and say he doesn't know what he's doing, I mean, I don't think he's done a completely terrible job. I think that it's really hard to win a game when you have a quarterback that only sees one player on the entire field.
Yeah, Brad, and that's why I've been saying that Joe Brady, he's not even number 3 on my list of the problems with this offense. And that's not me trying to make a pass for him either. I think that he could be doing a much better job as a play caller. But at the end of the day, there have been plays that have been missed by Sam Darnold. There have been passes that have been dropped by DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. And there have just been times where the offensive line wasn't going to let a play happen no matter what. So it's like, yes, even though Joe Brady's
horribleness from our offense.
Yeah, even though Joe Brady's play calling has not been ideal, I don't feel like our offense is having to overcome him like the Panthers offense did with Mike Shula, for example.
Yeah, here's something that nobody's really brought up, okay? And look, we had the chance to win against the Vikings. I stand by the fact that I thought that Sam brought us back in that game. Okay, but look at what the issue was in that game with the offense. Yes, Sam did not play great, but the whole offense had the drops. Okay, what do you think that does to him going into the New York Giants? A place where he's played how many times before, where he's had how many losses and how many bad memories, and you're coming off of a loss where even though you brought the team back, you feel like you can't trust the wide receivers because they can't catch anything. What do you think that does to the guy?
Well, I mean, and that's the biggest thing. Like, I mean, Robbie Anderson's been an abstract disappointment as much as like DJ has had a few drop balls, but I mean, Matt Rhule in his press conference said he loves Butterfingers. You can definitely tell since they extended Robbie Anderson, right?
It's not. Dude, we have to talk about this. Matt Rhule says he likes candy corn, bro. That fucking candle wax bullshit. Dude, do y'all like candy corn?
It's not.
Yeah, that shit is awful.
It is so bad, dude.
Daddy, but every year for Halloween, I got a bag of candy corn.
Yeah.
Every single day.
That's because you hate people, obviously, and you hate like happiness. And if you like candy corn, you either need to be under 7 years old or live in the Great Depression.
Or
when I was small, like when I was 7, 8 years old, and I was offered, if someone offered me candy corn, if an aunt or a cousin was like, "You can have this," at that point in my life where I loved sugar, I would turn it down then. Like,
might as well like Peeps. You might as well like Peeps, folks.
Oh no, dude! Don't encroach on Peeps. Come on now, Peeps
guys,
are delicious.
I have a very strict.
Peeps are delicious.
Listen, there's a very strict process for what you do with candy corn. You open the bag, you pour the candy corn into the trash can, and you eat a Reese's peanut butter cup, dude.
There you go.
Come on, man.
I'm not saying I'm buying it.
This is not hard. It's not hard. And it is another poor decision from our head coach, man.
Well, don't forget, he is a rat.
Oh, man. Oh, no. So he might love him, dude. Maybe that's why. Listen, I agree with Karen. Candy corn is the devil. Maybe that's why this candy is so popular at Halloween, But I don't know, dude. It's really another bad sign if you're asking me about old Matt Rhule making decisions, man. His candy decisions are just as bad as his offensive line decisions.
Dave Tepper puts ketchup on steak, so it kind of goes hand in hand.
But so does Patrick Mahomes, and
that's the biggest white trash move ever. You pick.
Yeah, look at how Patrick Mahomes is doing this year.
True. Maybe that's
I don't know about you guys, but I am white trash, so I can totally respect that.
Oh, nice. At least we can be honest, you know.
Something else I wanted to say about the offense. Like I said, I've been giving Brady a lot of heat, and like it deservingly so in my opinion. But the problem, like the offense's issues, are compounded. We would have been much better off. And I hate to say this because I said this before. Teddy Bridgewater, for me, what did him in with me was his demeanor after games. Like he acted as if he was above the shit. Like he was not. He didn't show the leadership that I wanted out of a quarterback. That's just my opinion. But the offense, the offense, the game plan, the design of the plays is predicated on having a quarterback that makes smart decisions. With the offensive line not being able to, with the offensive line not giving the quarterback time to go through his reason, even when they do, Sam is so in his head that he's not looking. Like it was mentioned, he's scheming guys open and Sam isn't seeing. You'd have been much better. I hate doing this revisionist history shit. We would have been much better off. As much as I love J.C. Horn, we'd have been better off retaining Teddy Bridgewater, drafting Justin Fields so that he could sit behind Teddy, let Teddy take the damn lumps with his offensive line being trash. That would have given Fields an entire year to be prepared for the following year. Like we would have been in a much better position had that happened.
What have done with the offensive line? You have to do Fields.
Even if you kept Teddy for his
later
3-year contract, you would have been better off than what you are now.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, Tepper had to have his way.
Well, and that kind of goes back to what Drew said earlier, right? I mean, Matt Rhule and Joe Brady sold Tepper on Teddy Bridgewater, right? But at least when we had Teddy Bridgewater, it looked like there was a plan, right? It looked like, okay, the way that contract was structured, he was really only going to be here for 2 years. We could have released him at the beginning of the third year before we had to pay him his guaranteed money, saved all that cap space, let a rookie sit behind him for a year, and then rolled that rookie out to start the following year. At least there was a game plan.
And
real quick, I wanted to kind of shift the conversation real quick. I know Drew has to go in a little bit, so I wanted to give him the opportunity to talk about this. We got to talk about Cam Newton, y'all. Because initially my mindset really hadn't changed. It basically is the same way it is. Like, I don't want Cam Newton to come back and die behind this offensive line like I've been forced to watch him do the past, the last number of years that he was here in Carolina. Would he be better than Sam Darnold? Yes. I mean, we should have tried to keep him for another year or two on a cheap prove-it deal instead of getting rid of him. But is there any sense that can be made, or a good argument to be made to any of you, that Cam Newton should be signed by the Carolina Panthers? Should there be a homecoming? Should we bring Ace Boogie back home? Let him try and get this ball rolling with McCaffrey, DJ Moore, and maybe he can overcome the offensive line. Is this madness? Is there some truth to this? Tell me. Whoever wants to know.
Should we do it? Yes. Will we do it? No.
No.
Because Tepper and the coaching staff are not going to swallow their pride and say we made a mistake by releasing Cam Newton.
I don't think Rhule could handle not being the biggest alpha in the room. I just don't think he could. Right. That's just the reality. I mean, if for no other reason, well, I mean, and for that reason alone, I think is the reason why they released Cam Newton. I mean, I think that he couldn't handle not being the definitive leader on that team.
I don't know how Seattle hasn't signed him yet.
Right?
They would have scooped him up.
There really aren't 32 quarterbacks in the NFL that are better than Cam Newton, and there definitely aren't 32 backups better than Cam Newton. I mean, come on.
Well, Seattle didn't sign Cam Newton is because they know Russell Wilson will be back in a couple of weeks.
Probably.
And Cam's not going to sit on the bench behind Russell Wilson.
I think
you vote for Russell, not for Mac.
I don't think Cam Newton wants to be a backup. Cam Newton's going to go sign with the team he wants to play. He don't want to play.
Yeah.
But at the same time, would I bring him here? I would call him and talk to him if I was donor, but I'm not. But I think he'll get hurt worse behind this offensive line because Cam's not going to sit back and do that. Cam's going to see an opportunity. He's going to run. I mean, Cam Newton's going to get. Bro, Cam Newton, the way he is, he's going to talk Brady to run all the read options you can run him. And
I mean, but maybe there's an argument to be made that that's not such a bad idea right now.
That's how you make an offensive line like this not look like trash.
Well, that's
the issue with it is
pick 5. We'll go to a top 5 pick, in my opinion, to a top 15 pick.
Yeah,
but you can still. I mean, honestly, with this coming draft, top 15 would still mean you're probably in position to get a quarterback in the future, even if it's not, a blue chip prospect. It's somebody that you can develop. I mean,
I wouldn't even get a quarterback.
Brett, I see what you're saying. I just don't see Temple spending a first round pick on a quarterback project. They're going to go for an offensive lineman, something that can be put on the field right now because he's not in the business of waiting around to develop a quarterback at this point. He's going to find a quarterback. He's not going to develop a quarterback. So there's no point in spending a first round pick on a quarterback.
The issue is when you look at it from look at it in its entirety. The organization, whoever decided to move on for Cam, decided to move on for Cam. There's no way of cutting it. If Brady or Rhule wanted Cam to be the starting QB, they would have fought for him to be the starting QB. Mm-hmm. So from Cam's perspective, even if they call him and that was the only call he got, he might tell them to fuck off because somebody in that chain of command, someone's like, hey, we need to move on from him. And every other motherfucker behind him was like, okay, let's move on from him.
Yeah, but Justin, to play devil's advocate to that, though, I think that both parties, it might not be their first choice because if it's David Tepper and Scott Fitterer and Matt Rhule having to resort to going back to ask Cam Newton to come back here, that means that their tail is in between their legs having to come back to Cam Newton.
Right.
But the flip side of this is Cam's not getting no play right now. Cam's a YouTuber right now.
He's got a lot of kids.
He's got kids. He's making cooking videos. That's Cam Newton's life right now. So if Cam really wanted to play football, he's not really in a position to turn down the Panthers.
Right.
If that was the case. $1 million a year contract with New England. So I mean,
and Cam also said that he still doesn't hold any malice or any hate toward the Panthers at all. So
and he knows the fans got too much love for him.
Exactly.
It's still too little, too late for the Carolina Panthers. Like this, they bet on Darnold, right now, it seems like it's not working. I don't want to I do like. I mean, I'm at the bottom. Like I feel like a alcoholic admitting he's an alcoholic. But I mean, there is in theory. Look, if you go back and look at Ron Rivera's second year as a Carolina Panther coach, we started out like trash, dude. And everybody, Ron Rivera was on the hot seat. Joe Riolano was on this podcast saying, or actually, we hadn't started the podcast in 2012, but we were calling each other. He was like, man, Sean McDermott ain't it. Sean McDermott didn't have the pieces, what we came to find out. But Ron Rivera's team won the last 6 out of 9 games in 2012. They always had a good, strong November and December. Now, I don't necessarily feel like I don't know if Matt Rhule is Joe Brady are all of a sudden going to make a Ron Rivera team and win 6 out of their last 9 games, particularly with this back end of the schedule. True. But I don't want to overly just say there's no way the Panthers are going to win any games for the rest of the season, even though I feel that way. I feel that way, but they're probably going to go and win in Atlanta because all of us picked the Falcons. They probably will go do that because we always win on the road in Atlanta. They always beat us at home.
Unless
But at the
Tampa's
end of the day,
starter.
they put their money on Sam Darnold this year, and they're going to have to ride with it for the year.
Yeah.
So I think
Well,
this
it's
is
longer than a year.
Yeah, you might as well just put in PJ if that's where we're at. It's this year is what it is now. And if Sam Darnold all of a sudden doesn't just go out and throw like 30 touchdown passes in the next 10 weeks or whatever, we're going to be in the market for a new quarterback next year. And then the question is it a rookie or is it a free agent? I mean, it could be
Joe Flacco.
Or a trade.
Fuck that, man. Joe, you know what
advocate,
is I tell you
Mitch
this is
Trubisky.
the Jets are tanking now because they could have signed Cam.
Yeah.
If anybody really wanted to win 2 or 3 games, you sign Cam.
Yeah.
That's what you do. It's like that'll get you that'll win you a couple games. But they're tanking, and we're probably tanking at this point.
Well, I figured the Browns would bring him in too.
So, but back to kind of what Drew was saying, though. I mean, let's just say Tepper does go all out and get another quarterback, right? Let's say we trade for an Aaron Rodgers or a Russell Wilson or someone along of that ilk. The reality is we're not going to have a first-round pick to invest in that offensive line. I mean, that's so you're still going to be saddling whatever veteran quarterback you happen to bring in here, no matter how talented he is behind an offensive line that is 31st in pass blocking. I mean,
Brad,
don't forget we don't have a second or a third.
Yeah.
To go along with what you said with that, if they bring in somebody like that, they won't be drafting an offensive line. They will be going through free agency trying to put in linemen. And they will finagle the numbers and then mess around with the salary cap in order to fit guys in there. And guys will come to play with somebody like Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
that's
or
true.
Deshaun Watson.
But along that same lines, though, I mean, most of the time, most of linemen that are out there in free agency, they're not the guys you want. Most of the offensive linemen that are out there in free agency are the cast-offs from other teams that haven't been franchise tagged.
Yeah.
Can we pivot this conversation just a hair, because all we do is talk about like Deshaun Watson and this and the quarterbacks, but let's go to that offensive line conversation, because you're right. If we go and get that, you're not going to have the first round pick. You ain't going to have a third. You ain't going to have a first round pick for like the next 4 years. I mean, it's not going to be that bad, but
maybe
quarterbacks do change the game enough to where it is worth it, right? I mean, if you look at all the quarterbacks that are winning in the league, or all the teams that are winning in the league, they got top quarterbacks. But
yeah,
Cody, you have said this, is that you've gone hard at this offseason about this offensive line and about how this was the fuck up that they made.
Yeah.
Right? Now, we all knew that, look, Cam Irvin is kind of like the typical patchwork type player that the Panthers have always signed in the past. I mean, that is it's the Michael Orr. Michael Orr was the best one, but we've like signed 1 billion of these dudes in the past that we hope are just going to be all right. F-line, same thing. This is total. We're comfortable with it. It turned out to be worse than we expected. My question, though, to the panel of people is, what else was truly out there? Like, how much better could you have done in free agency if you had said this is like, we're going to push all of our chips on trying to make a better offensive line with the money we got? Were there really, and I don't know the players that were out there. I don't. But it doesn't feel like Brad was saying, like there was a lot to choose from either.
That's the reason why I would have preferred them draft. Like if they had drafted more O-linemen, that would have given us younger guys that could develop into something. Like there will be hope. I hate to use that word, but there will be hope attached to a bunch of rookies. There's like Paradis, again, Daly, another Gamecock. I root for every Gamecock in the NFL, but Daly has not been it. The interior of the O-line, Irving hasn't been terrible at the left tackle position. It's been the interior primarily, and we could have shored that up in this past draft. And if the line played better, Sam would probably look better. So I mismanagement. I think that's going to be the new term. How Rome always said there were missed opportunities. this coaching staff looks like it's going to be mismanagement. That's going to be their catchphrase.
Joe Thunder. I've said that name wrong. He's a Kansas City guard. He played with the Patriots last year. Actually, I think he was hurt with the Patriots last year, or was on COVID or something, where he was out most of the year. But he was signed with the
Joe Thuney. Joe Thuney is the guy.
Joe Thuney.
Also, the Raiders had an offensive guard. I want to say Leno, but that may be wrong too.
Trent Williams.
Yeah. Raiders had an offensive line that they released right after the draft. Kind of shocked everybody. They released him after the draft. Folks in the Raiders claimed he was showing a lot of he was getting old. Well, he was only 30, but he signed with Washington, and so far he's looked really good with Washington as a left tackle.
Yeah, I don't understand. For all of we had the most salary cap going into the draft. I think, if I remember correctly, we were up there. I don't understand why we didn't reinforce the offensive line with some of the cast-offs from the Raiders. I don't get it.
Yeah, my personal opinion, the reason why we took Elflein and Cam Irving, and I'm not disrespecting Cam Irving because he's hadn't looked as horrible as I thought he would, is simple fact we wanted to go cheap.
We could have got Slater.
So
Slater wouldn't. You got to understand, or from my understanding, and Cody, you may know this. Matt Rhule and his coaches never looked at Slater as a left tackle. If we drafted Slater, he would be a offensive guard.
They put a lot of.
And by the way, it's like it would be so stupid because of how good Rashawn Slater is playing at left tackle.
Right.
But hell, even if they did put him at guard, at least I know that he'd be a good one. You know, that dude's beating the hell out of people, man. It's like so many problems.
It turns out our left guard sucks too.
It turns out the entire left side of our line is dog shit, bro. So either way, he would have helped out.
Is Slater the rookie that told his team don't send help?
Don't chip my
He was playing Myles Garrett. They were playing the Cleveland Browns, and they said don't chip him. I want a one-on-one, and I'm here to tell you that when Rashawn Slater and Myles Garrett went one-on-one, Slater won that UFC fight, y'all. I'm just here to tell you, man.
Myles Garrett
did it before.
That young man.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. How could you not?
I said this before when I first heard that. If that is not some alpha shit to say as a rookie,
right?
That is
right, man. That's what our offensive line needs so bad, man. There's no alphas.
But our illustrious head coach said he wasn't a real he wasn't a left tackle.
Even as good as Taylor, Taylor Moton is as a right tackle, he doesn't have that alpha dog mentality, dude. No. We're in desperate need of that
we don't
on offensive line.
We need O-linemen with a Steve personality.
Yes.
We have nothing like that on our offense. Like, not offensive line, not receivers, not quarterback.
Again, we need an offensive lineman that's got dog in them. And I'm sorry, we could have had that in the 6th round, but we decided to take a long snapper.
Yeah.
Right.
And dude, you know what? It's so disappointing that we don't even have the opportunity to see how much of a dog Christensen and Deontay Brown have in them, man.
Well, don't you think that was for me, after that defensive draft we had 2 years ago where we drafted whatever, like an unprecedented amount of defensive players, I felt like we could have just done that last year for the offensive line. I said this is like, I mean, it would not have been absurd if our first 3 picks in the draft were all offensive linemen. Wow. That would not and Cody, I know that look, as I flip out every year on the draft show about who we pick. And to be honest, it's right half the time. And not that JC Horn is a bad picker, but you know, man, whatever. Is that he could go on to be the greatest pick, but if we could have a great offensive lineman, guy, you know, and especially now that we're looking in retrospect, of how much this team has targeted secondary help in trades and free agency.
Yeah,
it's just there's more corners than there are O linemen.
Right.
We didn't need to draft, and this is not a shot at Terrace in any way, shape, or form, but his production on the field could have easily been replaced by any number of receivers. We didn't need to draft Terrace. Chuba's been good when he's gotten a chance to run the ball, but we didn't. Terrace's production, Chuba's production could have easily been replaced by guys that were already on the roster. And
I know if Terrence didn't come out and tear it up this year, which he has, I mean, obviously for various reasons. One is because nobody's tearing it up on the Panthers offense. Two, because now he's got a concussion, he's got injury. But like, I mean, if he would have come out and been like all of a sudden a superstar, we would have, then I'd be all right with it. But you're right. Now you guys want to hear some real fucked up shit? This is the most fucked up shit.
Sure.
I heard this today on the radio. I was on this radio program today. My boy said this is that Robbie Anderson has the worst yards per target since 2002.
Wow.
For a player. The last one was Eddie. His name was Eddie Royal. He played for the Broncos. But it's right now because he's got the drops. Like he's averaging 3.8 or 4 yards per target. And the last time, I mean, the worst in. And I like Robbie Anderson. I ain't ready to just completely. I think he's just in a funk, in a rut. I mean, I think he can come out of it. I ain't worried about it. But that's a crazy ass stat.
Yeah.
The worst since 2002.
Well, another kind of depressing stat that I heard today. So for the first 3 games of the season, our defense had a 80% pass rush win rate. Over the last 4 games, they've had a 20% pass rush win rate, good for the worst in the entire NFL.
For drop passes, we are 19. For drop passes, we are number 1 with 19. The next team is the Giants with 16. We drop more passes than any team in the league. I
don't know if this is weird, but this is the worst I've felt about a team. I can't remember the last time I felt this bad about a team. And you know what is really crazy about this is that I went into the Dallas game and the Philly game thinking we're going to whoop that ass. Like, so it wasn't too long ago I felt really good about the team.
Yeah.
And now it's like this is that it's like 2010 bad.
Yeah.
Except for 2010, you didn't have any expectations at all. There wasn't nobody on the damn team. Like, so of course we were going to be bad.
And 2010 gave you Cam Newton, right? What's 2021 going to give us, right? Even if we get the number 1 overall pick, there's no quarterback in sight. Like, not worth the number 1 overall pick. I mean,
dude, we just went through a legendary draft class, which again they got to prove it still. But last year was such a good quarterback class, and for us just to be like, nah, and Matt Rhule and David,
we missed on Justin Herbert.
Nah.
I mean,
yeah.
Did he go before us or after?
Yeah, he went before us. Yeah, he went 6th.
Yeah, we should have traded up. We should.
I know, man. And dude, you know what I was saying at that time? Y'all remember how Dave Gettleman said that Christian McCaffrey had Luke Kuechly DNA? Well, Justin Herbert had Luke Kuechly DNA at the quarterback position.
Right.
And you're seeing what that guy is doing now, man.
But would he be this good around that Carolina offense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look at what he did his rookie season. He was the best quarterback under pressure in all the NFL. Even better than Deshaun was.
I still say, I'll go to the grave saying this, that if that Marty Herney was banking everything that the Chargers would have taken Derrick Henry or Isaiah Simmons and not the quarterback. And when they took the quarterback, he got lost. He just like dropped all his cards. He's like out of luck right then. He was just went blank and said, "What do you guys want? We'll just take tackle," and he just took tackle right off.
Well, and to be
And
quite
he
honest,
meant Derek Brown. He said Derrick Henry. But speaking of Derrick
yeah,
Henry, we could have had him too, but instead we took Vernon
You're
Butler.
exactly right. That was another year.
Or maybe that was Shaq Thompson year. That might have been the Shaq
No,
Thompson.
No,
year.
we
that
could
was-
have
it was
had
Vernon Butler.
him too. We could
Yeah,
have had Derrick Henry.
Oh, Gettleman had to have his big fella in the middle.
But you know what's so funny though? Like all the reports were is that not David Tepper, Dave Gettleman was in love with Leonard Fournette and even wanted to move up to draft him. It's like if you wanted a big downhill thumping running back, well, why didn't you draft Derrick Henry when you had the chance? It's like
right.
It is so dumb. And then you would have had that power run.
At 25 or 26, too, that makes it a lot easier to swallow that pill than drafting a running back at 8.
He didn't take Derrick Henry because he wanted a chip because I believe he had one of his defensive tackles coming up for a contract. So
yeah,
that
was both Star and KK coming up for, and he tried to play. He tried to get like you said, he tried to draft somebody that he could play against them so he could kind of play some hardball. And it didn't work. Nope. I mean, there's been a lot of things. Most teams' drafts don't work a lot of times, but it does suck when you see Dave Gettleman's problem was he just tries to be too cute. He tried to be too cute. Like, I mean, we saw these people. He picked them Kelvin Benjamin. We all saw, man, damn Devontae Adams and Allen Robinson was just sitting there.
Right.
Yeah.
David Gettleman.
Guys, this has been fun, but I gotta head out.
Okay.
Drew, good luck.
All right, man.
Drew, I appreciate you, brother, man. Until next Friday, dog.
All right, man. We'll see you guys
later, man.
But you know, Derek Gettleman used to aggravate me. There's with his in the middle of the draft, he'd trade 3 or 4 picks to move up and around to draft a guy that everybody's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Darryl Worley. He traded 4 picks to move up in the 3rd round to draft Darryl Worley.
Yeah, man.
2 drafts later, he was gone.
David Gettleman did one of the things that you should never do. He drafted an insurance policy. Just the same thing like we did for Will Grier. I maintained that Will Grier was drafted in the 3rd round as an insurance policy in case something ever happened to Cam Newton.
Right.
And by the way, when something did happen to Cam Newton, Will Grier was never good enough to take the starting job. That's another pick that I put on David Tepper that he doesn't get enough credit for. I 100% believe that was a David Tepper pick.
Well,
but the first game we threw him in on was against the 49ers, who went to the Super Bowl that year. Like, we did not do that guy any sort of favors whatsoever, man.
Will Grier didn't start, but that was Kyle Allen you're thinking of, I think.
Was that Kyle
because Will Grier couldn't beat out.
Play until he played the Saints at the end of the year.
Will Grier couldn't beat out Kyle Allen or Taylor Heineke or PJ Walker.
I gotta look this up.
Well,
yeah. And
so
Marty Herney drafted Will Grier, didn't he?
Say what?
Marty Herney drafted
Will Grier. Yeah, he did.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but back to what you're saying though. But on the Will Grier talk, wasn't Chauncey Gardner-Johnson still on the board?
Yes.
He was the next pick. It was literally the very next pick.
I used to cheat on Madden all the time. I'd swap Grier and Gardner-Johnson out on Madden. Every time I started a franchise, I swapped the 2 out before I started a franchise. That's not a lie.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, you see, that's the thing is like it's been so. I don't think we've ever had a GM who actually can recognize talent outside the first 10 picks. I mean, really.
Right.
Like, I mean,
you know, for all the people want to talk about.
Well, we basically only had 2 GMs.
Yeah,
this is true.
You know, I mean, we had Marty Herney from. I mean, there was like in the first 5 years we had Dom Capers or whoever else was picking the picks then, but it was Marty Herney from 2002 to 2010, 2011, and then Dave Gettleman from 2012 to 2017, then back Marty Herney. And you know, Dave Gettleman had that 2013 draft was dope. We got Trey Turner, Star,
we got
KK. Like that's
and Star.
Yeah. But luckily KK fell into our lap because of the heart thing, and he had the flu. You know, that wasn't that easy. But then in that 2015 draft where we went to the Super Bowl, after that season, they redrafted everybody. We thought we were the bomb, man. We had Funchess, who had a big year for a rookie, or a decent year. We had Bené Benwickery, who played very good. We had Trey Boston, who played very good for his rookie. Like they redrafted that, and there was like everybody was a first round talent. And then the next year, they all sucked. So I love Dave Gettleman for a minute until I didn't. You know,
Yeah,
I
dude,
mean, it all went downhill once he started with the Josh Norman shit.
Yep.
It all started with the Josh Norman shit because he tried to pull his D out on the table, and then he rescinded the franchise tag at the last second, and then we didn't have any corners we could get in free agency or anything, and then he drafted Zach. It was Bradbury in the second, Sanchez in the third, and Worley in the fourth, or whatever it was, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Oh, and that year was that Shaq that year? No.
No,
was Shaq was 2015.
Defensive tackle.
That was the
Vernon Butler year.
Vernon Butler, yeah.
That whole draft.
You know who we needed to be good though. If he would have worked, if Coney Ealy would have worked out.
Oh yeah.
That would
he could have been the Super Bowl MVP.
If we would have just won.
He could have been the Super Bowl MVP if we would have won that game. Man, that's insane, dude.
He had the same game, if not better, than Von Miller. It's just he was on the losing team.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we traded him to the Patriots, and then they cut him.
So, hey, listen, let's pivot to this. I wanted to get everyone's opinion on this. We haven't talked up anything about it yet. Let's pivot to Atlanta. Tell me what you guys are looking for. Do you have any faith in this team to beat the Atlanta Falcons? If we do have any advantages and strengths in this matchup, what do you think they are? And I'll post this to whoever wants to jump in.
I'll go first.
You go ahead.
I called it last week. This team does not know how to win whenever we start losing. It has shown its face the last 2.5 seasons. I think we're going to lose again. I think until something happens with Sam, until Sam either gets that fire in his belly that he needs, or he gets pulled and PJ goes in, and PJ has some time to sit with the starters, I don't think we're going to win a single game up until God knows when.
Yeah, man. That's kind of where I feel like I'm at, man. Like, give me a reason to believe in you. It's like that you might have somebody that you're in love with, but they continue to go back and do drugs and hang out with the wrong people, and it's like they're only hurting themselves, and they keep lying to you and telling you that they're getting better, but you know they're not. You know they're reverting back to their old broken tendencies, and you know that they're inevitably going to crush your soul.
Cody, have you read my text messages?
No, dude, I'm going back and reliving my own trauma, okay? Dude,
no, he's thinking about the subscriber stream.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Clemson or Panthers?
Oh, don't start, man. It's already bad enough, Kenneth.
Hey, man, at least Clemson's won a national championship. I mean, you know, I actually placed a bet this morning. I think it was plus 1,500 that Kyle Pitts will go over 200 yards. I took the over.
Oh,
I mean,
no, you did not.
I totally did. I think he's going to freaking absolutely destroy us. I mean, I don't think that they do not have an answer for Kyle Pitts.
That's ridiculous. That's a lot, though. I mean, like
that is a lot.
Julio went for over 300. I mean, with the secondary is this secondary any better than that secondary?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
I think it is.
Oh yeah.
I think it is.
Oh god. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I think it's going to be like the Minnesota game where defense.
Well, I will say that
you only put $1 on that.
I put a significant amount of money on that.
Oh,
wow.
That's a significant
Poor guy.
amount, dude.
Poor
Hey,
guy. It's going to be a rough day
though?
for you.
I so badly want to be like, yeah, dude, you just lost a fuckload of money. But damn it, dude, like, I don't know, man. I can't say that that's 100% wrong. I do think our Kyle Pitts' weapon.
Gilmore. We got
isn't
Gilmore.
gonna
They
play.
put Gilmore on him.
Gilmore isn't even playing.
Dude,
I
Vegas
think-
just
I
made
think
out like
J.C.
Russell
Horn-
Okung did last year.
I think J.C. Horn is the only player, for as young as he is, for as limited of snaps as we've seen. J.C. Horn, for the foreseeable future, that's going to be our Kyle Pitts killer.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's not on the
will
field,
get in there and shut that fool down.
This week, according to I think it was Phil Snow, according this week they're going to plan. They plan to put Chin on him.
Right.
And I would assume they're going to put another safety up top.
I think they should put Taylor on where like they should have Taylor just shadow because Keith Taylor's like the only corner to my knowledge. He similar physique to JC, so I put him on that. Put him on what's his name? See how he would handle. I wouldn't. He's nothing against Chin, but I'd much rather see Chin more roaming around than.
So I guess I have always you look at Chin's coverage grades and they're not particularly good. If that's kind of what made me place the bet, because if their answer to Kyle Pitts is Jeremy Chin, then I think that's not an answer.
Yeah, but would you guys like to hear Jeremy Chin when asked about his matchup with Kyle Pitts? Real short video, just a 30-second clip here from Jeremy Chin.
Jeremy, when the Falcons drafted Kyle Pitts, the very first person I thought about on the Panthers team that could actually match up to him was you. You both are positionless, very skilled, got size and speed. How have you prepared, or I guess your mindset going into this week, getting prepared to face him on Sunday? What have you know so far?
So basically, Jeremy Chin didn't have too much of anything to say. My man's not a talker. No. He's not he's not a talker, man. He's just, basically just saying, hey, I have a job to do, and I'm going to go and do it. And he's not really talking a lot of trash, too. So,
yeah, but why would he give up any information on how he's going to cover the guy? You know,
that's not a big talker.
That's the reason why.
What is he going to say? We're going to play zone defense. What the fuck?
That's the reason why I'm mad JC got hurt, because I guarantee JC would have been. JC would have said something like, "I'm gonna do the same thing to him that I did in college."
I do like the JC. Chin also said that one thing he loves about Gilmore is so smart. He bragged about Gilmore. Said that Gilmore helped him in film and showed him things he didn't know.
Well, he also said that Gilmore was running the routes for the wide receivers because the route playing was so predictable. So I mean. Yeah, I mean, is Gilmore even playing? I didn't see if they've activated him off the top.
I think they activated him.
Yeah, I heard he's playing, but it may be they may do limited reps.
Gotcha.
Man, nah. If they put Gilmore in limited reps, I'm gonna be pissed because we brought C.J. Henderson in on 3 days' notice and made him play the whole damn game.
Right,
and that's a rookie. He's a second-year player. Gilmore's former defensive player of the year. Fuck that, man. Go and play man. Just be like this. Tell him to shadow Kyle Pitts all day. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
I see your point, Tony, but the one thing is, Stephon Gilmore's been injured since last year. And on top of that, so was C.J. Henderson. Look at what we've had to deal with his injuries over the last couple of weeks.
But
Gilmore, though, has been injured his whole career, though.
Oh, yes, he has.
He had a 3-year stretch, and that's when he won the defensive player of the year when he was in New England. But he's been in the league since 2013, man. And for the first 5 years, he was hurt. I mean, and not like it was he had a couple of concussions. I mean, there were some different things. And I'm not saying, look, injuries are part of the game, so I'm not trying to shit on the dude for being hurt. You know what I'm saying? But like, if anybody knows how to play with injury.
But this past year was the first time that he really missed any substantial time. Like, don't get me wrong, missing a game is substantial, but
You know, it was really only 2 or 3 games a season. It wasn't anything. It wasn't anything long term like this.
But
you know?
what I'm just guessing what they may do is wait till he gets out there, see how he feels. He may get out there, feel that buzz again, and say, "No, guys, I'm good," and play the whole game. So that might be something they have in the cards if it happens.
What does Sam Darnold finish this game?
I mean,
that's a damn good question, dude.
Atlanta's not good on defense, are they?
No, they're not good on defense, but neither were the Giants. The Giants were the 5th worst defense in the NFL. I mean,
or the Jets, or the Texans. No, the Texans he did all right against. He did play 2 all right defenses: the Falcons and the not the Falcons, the Vikings and the Eagles.
I just wanted to speak on the upcoming game, and then I gotta hop off. But I'm not giving any predictions. I'll say what I want to see. Like I want to see Brady move the pocket for Sam, because I think that would help Sam out tremendously. He wouldn't have too much thinking. Not to mention that because I think the timing has been off on some of the dropbacks with the receivers, which has led to some of the drops that they have also. So I want to see Brady move the pocket, use Sam's athleticism. Sam should be having around 5-6 design run plays called for him. I think if we can get some semblance of an offense, this is going to be. If we can get some semblance of an offense, this could very well end up being something of a blowout, because I think our defense would be rejuvenated. Like, yo, look, the offense is actually fucking doing their job. So let's get out there and play like we did the first 3 weeks. But that's what I want to see. I'm not going to say what I think is going to happen. But yeah, man.
So, yeah, hey, Justin, I appreciate you. Hey, before you go, man, I don't know if you wanted to look at this right quick. I saw Jeff. He alerted me to this in the chat room. So then I went looking while you guys were sitting here talking. Jason Lockhart-Fora an hour ago for CBS says Panthers still watching Deshaun Watson market closely ahead of the deadline, willing to trade Christian McCaffrey. That is a real headline, folks. That's a real
Jason Lockhart-Fora always says some crazy shit.
Yeah, and on top of that, we still got to get Deshaun Watson to lift his no trade clause. And do you think trading Christian McCaffrey is really going to do that?
I mean, if you're the Texans, why do you want McCaffrey? They've got a stable, a good running back.
Why do you want Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I mean,
well, the other thing you got to take into account too, and you have to remember, is if we trade Christian McCaffrey, even if it is for Deshaun Watson, we're still eating. I think it's like $32 million of his cap.
That's the thing. Yeah,
right?
You don't save any money. You're right.
Yeah.
And I learned all that this year. Is that you got to pay all that?
Yeah, and then
hold on. I have one thing to say. Justin leave already?
Yeah, Justin had to bounce.
Okay. What was he saying? He was talking about what he
Falcons,
said. Anyway,
Falcons matchup.
He'll come in a second.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like this is not gonna go away. This Deshaun Watson thing. I mean, honestly, dude, look, I'm at the point, like, if it's gonna happen, like, I would almost prefer it happen now than us having to do this will they, won't they trade for Deshaun Watson thing for, until next March, April? Again, we're going to continue to have these conversations about whether or not it is or isn't a good look for the Panthers. I feel like most people believe that, especially with with the accusations against him, that it's too risky of a trade. But it really doesn't look like any of that matters, if we're being honest. If none of this has caused David Tepper to sour on Deshaun Watson and still wants to bring him here, then it's like, dude, I hope that it happens sooner rather than later. It's like we're delaying the inevitable. It's the same thing that I said about this offensive line before the season started this year.
I think it's mostly Houston is delaying.
Well, Well, and back the thing we have to remember too is I think it was at the owners' meeting this week. The Commissioner Goodell straight up said there's not enough evidence. We don't have enough information to put him on the exempt list. So if he gets traded, he can play immediately.
And and Brad, that David Tepper starts to drool when he hears that, because he sees Stephon Gilmore being able to play, the potential of J.C. Horn coming back from a cap perspective. Again, I'm not an expert on the numbers. If you guys want to look this up to find out for sure, feel free. But they would be essentially moving off of all of the money that we paid Christian McCaffrey that, frankly, he has not lived up to since we paid him. And again, man, this dude, it might be a blessing in disguise, man, and an opportunity. So the trade deadline is November.
I know what I gotta say. All right, I gotta run too.
No, go ahead, man. Say your thing.
Y'all, everybody listening in the chat room, everybody here, gotta go check out that Madden simulation.
Oh, dude, listen.
Yeah,
we're
getting these guys jobs, dude. Mick Mixon's retiring this year. Dude, Cody and them, man, it's so good. I wish they got great voices. They're made for radio. They're made for man. Go check it out. And I don't even like video games. I mean, I do like video games, but I'm old and I don't got time to watch people play video games. But I do. I watch this one all the time. I feel like my kids watching people play Minecraft or whatever. And they're just watching simulation. It is so good, folks. You got to hit the likes. You got to hit the subscribes. Thanks for your support tonight. I got to go, fellas. I'm sure my wife is like, why the hell are you doing another podcast?
Tony, we love you,
Peace
brother.
out.
Go
Peace.
do your thing,
Love
man.
you, Tony.
Later, Tony. Look, real quick to add on to that, we uploaded the Madden simulation earlier today. Today it was CK and One Carolina, John from One Carolina. He was cool enough to come and commentate on the Madden simulation. And, dude, I have no problem saying that those two are way better than when I'm on there with CK. Please check it out. They did an incredible job. And it was a really good game that Madden had us playing with the Falcons, too. So that's up on the channel right now. You can watch that right now on the YouTube channel. And, yeah, man, back to this this conundrum of a football team that we have going. Did anybody what's up, Nick?
I think it's that time, man. I think you should do it this time.
Oh, is it time to shame people?
Oh, it is. It is.
It's time to shame them. Shame them. Look, man.
You enjoy that.
We're almost at the quota, man. Right now, I see there's 56 people watching. There's 51 thumbs up. I need 5 of you to do the damn thing and hit the thumbs up button, man. We're doing this every Friday. This is the Friday free-for-all. If you want to jump in and join the show, you can do so, man. The link to join is in the description on Facebook and on YouTube. Hit that like button. Hit the thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, subscribe. Hit the notification bell to get a notification every single time the C3 Panthers podcast drops content, which is pretty much every day now. Let's be real. So, once again, we appreciate everybody joining us on the stream and in the chat room. We wouldn't be able to do it without you. Let's move forward here to our final thoughts on everything, man. Deshaun Watson. What do you think if the Panthers are really indeed done with Deshaun or not? And let's get some predictions on what you think the final score will be when the Panthers play the Atlanta Falcons. Go ahead, Kenneth.
21-3, the Falcons win.
Oof.
Oh, not even a touchdown.
Nope. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I would be jumping up and down to break something to say that I was wrong. But I don't think that Watson wants to come here. If Watson looks at the Carolina Panthers right now, the last 4 games, give him a reason that he wants to come here. The receivers are dropping the balls. The offensive line can't block. And if you listen to the fans, that Brady can't call a play. I mean, why would he come here? Really?
Man, I would say the same.
Well, but
But-
again, I'll play the same devil's advocate that I did with Justin when we were talking about camp. Deshaun Watson wants to play football.
Right.
And right now, I kind of think that regardless of what's being reported, he might have an anywhere but Houston mentality. Like, as long as he's able to play football this year for a team that isn't the Texans, especially I think as the trade deadline looms, and now that he knows that the commissioner's exempt list, that he's not going to be put on that list. Well, then that means that if he doesn't play this year, all of that litigation has to go through first before he sees the field next year. So if I'm Deshaun, man, this is my opportunity to play football. So maybe that's why he would pull the trigger on a trade to come here to Carolina. But I do hear your point, though, man. From an offensive line perspective, we're not better than the Texans last year.
Right.
And you're hoping that a quarterback of Deshaun's level would maybe mitigate all the drops that Robbie Anderson is having, maybe some of the trust issues, maybe Deshaun hits him in stride, and maybe your defense is able to play more aggressive because of the fact that our offense is able to do something more with Deshaun. I don't know, man. I think that's David Tepper's mindset. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think that's how David Tepper views the situation.
But something else that I have to bring up, I have to say it. How's Tepper going to react if we do this, and he walks into the protesters outside Bank of America Stadium on Sunday mornings? You know it's going to happen. Even if there's going to be a lot of folks that's going to criticize David Tepper's Panthers for trading for a guy who's accused of all that.
True.
I mean, I thought people were going to protest it with Eric Reed, but nobody gave a shit. It's kind of the Panthers. I don't think many people care.
But, that's the thing, though, is I guess here's my thought, right? I assume David Tepper probably thinks that any press is good press.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. And the reality is whether you believe it's all smoke and mirrors or all conspiracy theory or whatever, there's a lot of people, especially on Panthers Twitter, who've openly said, you know what, if you don't want to be a fan of the Panthers because Deshaun came here, screw you guys, because winning will bring more fans. And that's true. Winning will bring more fans than the ones you're probably going to lose. The biggest thing, us as fans that we have to square is, we don't know that these allegations are false. We don't know that these allegations are just, hokum. How do you wear those colors and look at your mothers, your daughters, your wives? I mean, that's where I'm at anyway.
And Brad, I've always said this. You're not wrong for feeling that way, and no one is wrong to be upset at this organization if they do bring in Deshaun Watson. I say that as a diehard Clemson fan. Deshaun Watson orchestrated two of the most fun seasons that I have ever had watching college football, even more than when Trevor was here, man. Like, Deshaun was absolutely something special, but it's absolutely true that, you have a right to feel some type of way about this if it does happen. I also think that you hit the nail on the head, Brad, and I think that it's something worth bringing up. Like, yeah, this happens, and a lot of people are going to be disappointed, but are people going, and this is a legit question, are people going to continue to care if the Panthers start to put out a couple wins back to back, and then all of a sudden we're picking up steam, and the offense looks good, and Deshaun picks up right where he left off on the football field? I wonder if the success starts to come, are people really still going to be very in
You
there?
remember Michael Vick with Philly? What happened with there? Like, as soon as he started playing amazing, people stopped giving a shit.
Yeah, people started to love him.
Yeah, but I mean, dogfighting is different than.
Yeah,
true.
Very,
Very true.
I mean, look at Peyton Manning.
Also,
With
Vic was on
Tennessee,
the roster for.
People love him Monday Night Mannings.
Vic wasn't brought to Philadelphia to be a starter. He was brought with the help of McNabb to originally just to be a backup till McNabb got hurt. So, something I have to keep in mind if we trade for Watson or a better quarterback, because I meaning to add, Sean Alexander said on WFNZ that Fitterer had already contacted Washington, or he hinted to it, that he had already contacted the 49ers, but the 49ers want way too much for Garoppolo. So if Garoppolo is released this year,
I'd rather keep Sam.
Well,
I mean, I wouldn't. I really think that honestly, if we're going to start this rebuild, like really start it in earnest and try to develop a quarterback, I would be completely okay going and getting Mitchell Trubisky. I mean, at least he's gotten some playoff experience and he's won a few games.
Yeah,
I mean,
I have such a bad taste in my mouth from these mediocre, subpar quarterbacks. The Bridgewater, the Darnold, even Garoppolo. Like I say, Garoppolo, and he would basically come here to die.
Yep.
That's what we need.
Yeah, it wouldn't actually be an upgrade. The Panthers need to upgrade the quarterback position. And again, I don't mean to sound insensitive to all the stuff that Deshaun is being accused of off the football field, but that's why I said if we're gonna do this, dude, I'd rather get it out the way and do it now than it being a will they, won't they story all the rest of the year. And then, as I mentioned earlier, if you're going to upgrade the quarterback position by means that are not the draft, then you're going to be trading players and picks for a Rodgers, for a Wilson, for a Watson. That's the only way you do it, that you're not taking a flyer on another quarterback that you have to wait 2 or 3 years to see if you have a franchise player.
So
why did Kansas City get Alex Smith?
Well, they had Alex Smith for a while, but they thought that he was going to be the guy that took them all the way.
I think they thought he was a good replacement or good guy to start while we wait for the next big thing at quarterback.
But they also had players. I mean, they made the playoffs. They made the playoffs that final year with Alex Smith as
we
their
need to
quarterback.
build the team more before we go after a quarterback. Got to build that team.
Hey, man, I hear you, but I don't think David Tepper does.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't think his coaching staff does either. I mean, really, look at the investments. They've invested a ton on the defensive side of the ball. They haven't really invested much on the offense.
No.
True.
If they go all out and they get Watson, or even if they trade for a guy like Aaron Rodgers or Wilson, I'm just going to put my money. It's not by Rhule's decision. It would be Tepper and maybe Fitterer overriding Matt Rhule. Say, here's what we're going to do. I mean, if they do that, I could see Fitterer or Matt Rhule finding his way out.
And I think what Drew said and what some of you guys said earlier remained true, that Matt Rhule had his chance to call shots on who the quarterback was, or maybe it was Marty Hernan at first with Teddy Bridgewater. Then maybe it was Matt Rhule and Phil Snow with Sam Darnold. I think that if David Tepper has his druthers, he's not going to let anybody else other than him have the say-so on who the quarterback is going forward. So, hey, let's get back to this football game. Nick, if you're still there
Cody.
with me, man, what do you think about this Atlanta Carolina game? Who are you picking, and by how much?
Well, before I get into that, one thing I do want to say about the whole Deshaun Watson thing, because I've been kind of quiet on it.
Please.
Look, I judge how somebody is whenever it comes to the legal issues with how they respond to it. And according to what I've heard from you, and granted I haven't done much homework on it at all, just because I feel like the cost for him is too high. You've told me that he wants to come out and he wants to tell his side of the story. Now,
True.
someone who's guilty does not want to do that. They just want to put it behind them as fast as possible, unless they're a truly sick person. So with him wanting to come out and tell his side of the story, I kind of just want to see how that one plays out. On top of it, this season, it's essentially a lost cause. The amount of pieces that we would have, I'm talking about if we were to get Deshaun Watson, the amount of pieces that we would have to give up would include starting players that we desperately need right now to perform. So if we were to get Deshaun Watson, our defense would not nearly be as good as it is now. Okay, that would put us further behind in the future. If we waited until the offseason to revisit it, Deshaun Watson's price goes down because it knocks a year off of his contract.
And we might have a better draft pick to give up.
And that is also true. And I still think that the cost is going to be more than what it's worth. But you got to also remember too, we have to convince him to come here. And if we're trading away the players that make us good, he's not going to want to come here, especially not behind our O-line.
Yeah.
So that's just my 2 cents on that. But as far as for this Atlanta game, I'm thinking it's probably going to be 24-17 Atlanta. I think we're going to be like 1 touchdown down, and I think that if we go into the third quarter without having at least 14, or if we go into the fourth quarter without having at least 14 points on the board, I think PJ comes in.
Yeah. And Tony asked a good question. Is Sam Darnold going to get benched again?
I'm not going to say no.
I don't know. And I say that for a reason, because if you bench Sam again, fans will ask questions. They always do. But when is Tepper going to knock on Rhule's door and say, it's 2 weeks in a row, dude?
Yeah.
We need to bring in another quarterback.
And he said he wants to see improvement. He wants to see improvement.
I mean, I'm going to hinder on no, because Rhule's not stupid. Rhule's going to see that, and Rhule's going to remember that. And he benched him last week and it didn't do good. So what do you think he's going to do good now?
Yeah. But, hey, I want to make a prediction real quick. Okay, so the game is on Halloween, October 31st. That's when we play. If we lose, I'm going to call this now. If we lose to Atlanta and we have another piss poor performance on offense, I think we're going to trade for Deshaun. Like, I'm calling it. That's my official prediction. If we lose to Atlanta and have another embarrassing performance, like Kenneth is predicting, not even a touchdown, we're going to get Deshaun. We're going to get Deshaun. And the final thing I'll say, and I'll pass the mic, is I agree, is that I want to hear Deshaun's tale. I want to hear his side of the story. And by the way, I'm 100%. I think I could hear Deshaun and hear him and be like, yeah, that sounds like bullshit, bro. Like we can all pick up on bullshit when somebody's just trying to save their ass, or dude, we're trying to say they're all consensual. Like, I'm not waiting to hear what Deshaun says just so I can agree with him. I do think, however, that he does deserve to at least have his side of the story told if he remains adamant that he is not the, predator, pervert that he's been made out to be. And I do think that's fair, because that's not an endorsement for Deshaun either. That's just saying, I want to hear what he has to say for himself. And I think
at the end of the day, anybody can get put into any legal position whatsoever out there. All it really takes is someone to say that you did something, and if it's bad enough, that you can get arrested for it. There doesn't necessarily have to be any real evidence for it. So at the end of the day, if you were in Deshaun's shoes and someone was accusing you of something, wouldn't you want to be able to tell your side of the story before everybody and their mother made their preemptive notions?
Yeah, if you maintain your innocence throughout the whole process, then yeah, sure. Brad, did you make your did you make your prediction yet for
No.
Yeah, go ahead, man. What are you thinking about this game?
I think it's going to be 33-10 Atlanta. I think it's going to be a blowout, to be honest.
Oh man.
We're
all picking the Falcons, dude. What a turn of events we live in, man.
And kind of side with Kenneth. I think that the only touchdown we're going to score is on a Matt Ryan pick six. I really do.
Oh, damn.
I can see that.
You hate to see it, man. You hate to see it, dude. That's a rough one. Kevin, are you in agreement, man? Like, is this unanimous, dude? Are we all on this Panthers podcast right now, picking the Falcons to beat us, man?
I got Atlanta winning 17-5. We get a safety.
Oh, dude, another
This
fucking crazy performance with no touchdown, a field goal, and a safety.
Yep.
I do want to take this moment to point out that last week when I left, I said there would be a safety. I said it.
Yeah, you did, and I remember you said that to me on Twitter too. So, hey, kudos to Brad. You absolutely called your shot, man. you did your thing. Well, damn, dude. So we're all picking.
I'm not going to pick them to win until they win a game.
Hey, dude, let's hope that maybe we jinx ourselves into winning.
There we go.
Maybe we all, maybe we jinx ourselves into actually doing this too.
I want to throw one
I mean,
more
if I'm going to
thing
be
out.
out money.
Yeah, go ahead.
One more short thing. David Tepper's been here before. David Tepper was a minority owner both times Ben Roethlisberger was accused of rape.
Yeah.
Oh, true. Maybe that's a good point.
I heard of that on the radio and I forgot all about it, but that is true.
So maybe David Tepper from experience has a mindset of let this play out. He's an NFL football player with a lot of money to defend himself. And ultimately, Ben Roethlisberger is still playing football. No, that's a good point.
Time ago,
There's not a lot of there's not a lot of retribution on the Steelers for that. Granted, Ben had a 6-game suspension. Ben wasn't suspended a year. He was suspended 6 games.
Yeah, it is different times though, as Kevin said. So we will see what happens, man. Dude, I just hate that we're all having to pick Atlanta, man. That this team started so hot, and none of us really even care that Stephon Gilmore. We're gonna see him play for the first time. Like now, we're just like Stephon who? Oh, you mean the guy that probably isn't going to be here next year? Like, yeah, we're already to that point.
Hey, we're going to get a 5th-round pick out of it,
dude. It's crazy.
Hey, we either get Stephon Gilmore or we get a 5th-round pick. I'm not upset with either one.
Yeah,
just
yeah, right. Well, especially when you need picks. And you have guys like Trey Smith drop into the 6th round. But we probably still wouldn't even pick the guy that we need.
We'll pick a long snapper.
Yeah, we'll take another field goal kicker.
We need.
But yeah, man, listen. Nick, you had something you wanted to show before we got out of here. Right?
I do. You know, with Halloween week coming up, Cody,
I
feel like it's only right that we salute one of our old quarterbacks.
An all-time favorite costume.
Yeah, his natural self. So
Tanisha, bro. Looking
just
beautiful,
remember,
by the way.
any of you guys out there that want to go dressed as a woman for Halloween, just say that you're Tedisha Bridgewater.
There you go.
Bro, he got the eyeshadow on, the lip gloss.
You got to wear the double gloves, though. If you go
there are some of us men are too ugly to dress like a woman anyway. Be an ugly man, much less ugly woman. I mean,
I don't know. I feel like I'd make a beautiful woman.
Oh, I'm not.
You think somebody helped him with the makeup, or he did it himself?
I think that was all him.
So apparently he did this for like some classroom project or some shit. Dude, but you know what? You know what I equate this to? Y'all remember that picture that was going around of Matt Ryan wearing a bra? Yeah. And everybody was like, oh, it's a Photoshop. It's a Photoshop. But dude, in my heart of hearts, that's a real fucking picture, bro. I don't care what
God,
anyone
yeah.
has to say. The Atlanta Falcons quarterback wears lingerie in his spare time, dude. And I'm not here to judge it. I'm just saying it's the truth. And Teddy
don't kink shame
Bridgewater.
around here.
He's a
Teddy
former MVP. Good
Bridgewater.
for him.
Every full moon, Teddy Bridgewater turns into Teddy.
In his minivan. Can't
Yeah,
forget
and
about the
drives
minivan.
around in his minivan. Yeah.
Yeah, he needs to come out in a game for the Denver Broncos dressed like that. That would be interesting.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
Oh
man.
my God.
Do it this Sunday.
Yeah,
Do it this Sunday for
well,
Halloween, man.
Exactly. That's what he needs to do.
100%. Oh, dude, but listen, gentlemen, thank
Brad,
you
did you
so
want to say
much for
something
joining, man. This has been another edition of the Friday Free for All. And man, I appreciate you all for hanging out once again, dude. You know we're here every Friday at 7 p.m., man. This is your Panthers channel to come in. This is for the fans, by the fans, man. So we appreciate everybody being here, man. Kenneth, Panther Rhule, man. Tell them where they can find you online, brother.
You can find me on Twitter at Panther Pickle. That's
Panther
the best place to get a hold of me. I'm always
Hey,
there.
man. You have a good Twitter account, man. You post some good takes on that Twitter account you got, man. So keep up the good work.
Mm-hmm.
Brad, my favorite Matt Rhule hater. None of us even blame you at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Tell them where they can find you, bro.
I'm on Twitter. I'm at Baleal. I'm also on Twitch at Baleal.
Nice, man. Check out Baleal. Kevin Boshoven. Dude, if my Clemson Tigers lose to FSU, please don't message me. Don't think about me. Don't tag me in any post. Just forget that I exist, okay?
Deal.
Don't worry, Kev. I will.
There you go.
Damn it, dude. Fuck, man. Kevin, tell them where they can find you, bro.
You can find me at kbosh89 on Twitter, which I've learned is there's a lot of dicks on there.
Yeah.
Who knew that? Apparently there are.
A whole bunch of them.
I can give you the Twitter handle of some of them.
Mine better not be a part of them, Kenneth. But yeah, all right, Kevin Bosch, check out KBosch89 on Twitter. My man Nick, he's been here for every single Friday free for all, man. I appreciate you once again for joining me, brother. He might be bringing me some beer here soon. Oh shit! You know I'm down for a good time, bro. Hey man, tell them where they can find you on Twitter, bro.
Well, I'm not really on Twitter all that much. I do have a handle, but I'm not really on. You can catch me on Instagram under Monty's Motorsports. I'm also on Facebook too, Nick Montero. So feel free to add me on either one. Always down to talk about anything. Cars, football, movies, you name it, I'm down.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, everybody, this has been another edition of the Friday Free For All. I appreciate you all for joining me. Tune in this Sunday for the Panthers post-game show. We will be your weekly therapy session for when the Panthers ultimately disappoint you and drop a game to our most hated division rival, the Atlanta Falcons. We will be here for you on the C3 post-game show. We'll be back every Friday at 7 p.m. for another edition of the Friday Free For All. Gentlemen, I appreciate you all for hanging out and joining me. And yeah, we've even got a closing bumper today, y'all. So I appreciate you. Everybody, keep pounding.
Keep hope.